Welcome to our masterclass on how to start a clothing brand with $0 and be on your way to building an empire from the ground up. My name is John Santos and I started this YouTube channel 9 years ago, if you can believe it or not. Back then, I never had a plan to be a YouTuber, and I honestly only launched this channel in order to share the information that wasn't easy to find. And after personally spending tens of thousands of dollars learning it the hard way, I decided to share what others would normally charge for completely for free. And that's what started this community. So in this video, I brought together a powerful lineup of brand owners and entrepreneurs who are killing it in their fields. In this video, we have the man Chase Chappell, who advises on over $200 million in ad spend, and he'll be sharing how to start and grow your brand with paid ads. We also got the man Gruber, who's the CEO of Apliiq, which is one of the leading print partners for Shopify. And he's gonna be diving into the operations of how to scale up, raise investments, and be profitable in your business. We also got my boy Medin Gebrezgier, who's a consultant for growing brands, and he'll be sharing tips and tricks on how to pitch your brand to raise funding. And finally, we got the man Abdel Rodriguez, who's the CEO of Kronis, which is a fast-growing sportswear brand that is now expanding globally. He's gonna be sharing insights on his journey and how to help convert your passion into products that can make you some money. Guys, I'm pumped for you to be able to learn from these guys because over the years, they've all brought tremendous value and results for my own business. And the best part about this is that it's all free. Yes, and when you're ready to start taking action, I encourage that you join the free community that we have in the descriptions down below, where you can network and connect with other entrepreneurs and street crafters who are building their brands from the ground up. Now, let's jump into this video. Now, one of the things that you need to know is that building a brand new business is truly a sport. And in every game, there are rules and game plans that help you win. So for the very first time in the history of YouTube, we're gonna be sharing what we created and called the Apparel Playbook. Now, this playbook will help you in making decisions on what to do in business, as well as how your marketing, sales, and operation all function together in order to help you grow. Now, I've also condensed every major option that you have in starting and growing a brand into 4 major plays, as I like to keep things simple here, and I also want to help bring clarity to what you're about to do. Now, the 4 major plays we identified are the following: the pre-order, made on demand, bulk mode, and hybrid on demand. Now, before we jump into the 4 plays and what they consist of, we need to start by identifying where you are right now. And the reason for this is because it's gonna help determine which play is gonna be best for you to get started and which players you should use in order to grow. Now, the questions that you need to ask yourself and that you truly need to do some reflection on are the following. Are you living on your own right now, or are you living at home? Do you have a full-time job or just a part-time job? Do you have access to credit and access to funding, meaning do you have money in the bank? And more importantly, how much risk are you okay with? Now, I want you to take a moment and reflect on this right now. Be honest with yourself, as it definitely helps you determine which play you should start with. Now, once you have it outlined, let's jump into play number 1, and that is pre-order. Now, this is a play for those who are in a position where you don't have much money, you don't really have the capabilities of making a product, and you're not really able to navigate the online e-commerce space that well yet. Maybe you're just toying around with this new idea and you're trying to see if it's gonna be a good fit. If this sounds like you, then the pre-order play is gonna be for you. And the reason that I say that is because it's the lowest risk with the highest reward potential. Now, the pre-order play allows you to launch with a very low upfront investment. And another big pro is that using this play allows you to have the flexibility to create almost anything you can imagine. Is you're not bound by a print-on-demand company, and you can literally design any product. And if you're able to pre-sell it, you now have the funds to go out and make it. Now, a perfect example of this strategy is one that I actually went through. Now, we had designed a product that was designed to hold a basketball. It was a basketball bag that you can clip onto an existing backpack, you can wear as a backpack, and you could actually use it to match to your sneakers, and overall just make balling a lot easier. Now, when we came up with this idea, we created the designs for it, the illustrations, we had the pattern work that we did in-house. So when we came to a manufacturer, the manufacturer said, hey, you're gonna have to place a minimum of X orders. And I believe at the time it was 15 grand worth of a minimum order. Now, in order for us to launch this idea, it was gonna cost us $15,000. Now, this was a very big gamble at the time because I was barely scraping by and the business had a very short time span before it also went bust. So I took inventory on where I was and I realized that I didn't have the funds necessary, but I did have some basic marketing skills in order to prove if this was something that was in demand. So what we did instead is we paid for 4 samples of the product, and it ran us about $200, but the manufacturer said they'd be willing to refund us if we placed an order. Now, afterwards, we took some photography, we did some videos, and we even created a little commercial to show people what this product was all about. Now with these samples, brought our idea from sketches to a physical product, and with the marketing material, it allows us to display it to everybody that we knew. We also took those samples to basketball courts, we took it into classrooms, we had people sign up to the campaign on Kickstarter in order to help us raise funding for it. Kickstarter is one of the platforms you should consider to run your pre-order play, and the way that it works is that you get people talking and pre-booking it. So now we had 15 to 20 grand worth of pre-orders, and this was a huge accomplishment for us because we were able to sell it to somebody. Somebody actually wanted to buy it, which made the manufacturing of it that much easier. Now, and you have to be okay with constantly messaging people, giving them updates, like things like, hey guys, we're now in sourcing, we got the materials, we got the fabrics, it's about to be cut. You gotta keep them involved with the process, and you gotta stay on top of the communication in order for the pre-order play to work. But by doing this, by putting this extra effort, you're also building a relationship with the customer. And for us, when we were able to deliver it, they were super pumped and excited that they got an inside scoop on what was happening, and they loved the product. And once we delivered it, guys, it was a huge relief. So when it comes to the pre-order campaign, it is the most time intensive on your side. So you always have to keep that in mind. And the reality, guys, is that all the plays we're about to talk about, you're either gonna be investing time or you're gonna be investing money. And if you have a lot of time, but you don't have any money, consider the pre-order play. But I just want to say the strategy isn't for everyone. And maybe you do have a little bit of a budget, but you don't have much time. Maybe you got a partner who requires a lot of your time. They want to cuddle at night, or maybe you have kids that are screaming for you, and you also want to spend time with them outside of your 9 to 5. So if you're willing to invest a little bit of your time and a little bit of your money, this is where made to order comes into play. Now, the made to order business model can be a little complicated to understand, guys. So I want to go ahead and illustrate it right now. Now, in the made to order business model, you essentially have 3 main components that we're going to highlight on the screen right now. And the first component is your customer. Now, a customer is someone who is willing to give you money in exchange for what you're selling. In this case, it's a product, which is component number 2 of this equation. Now, in this model, the product is then made after it's ordered. And the person or factory making it on your behalf is the final component to this puzzle, who's in charge of making sure that the product is made right and shipped directly to your customer. Now in this model, guys, you can be the person making it and shipping it, but since you're on limited time, we're gonna say that somebody else is making it on your behalf, which we'll call a factory. Now the factory will charge you every single time somebody buys a product from your e-commerce store, as they need the money to pay for their time, material, and they have to charge you a markup in order to have a profit to sustain their operation. So let's say you retail a product on your store for $30. Now every time a customer buys a product from you, you're gonna collect those $30, and then you're gonna give $18 for the factory to make it for you. The leftover that you have is $12, which is the profit that you get every time somebody buys from you. Now, at first glance, this may seem like the factory is pricing you out of your home, but remember, guys, you're not paying for 100 products to be made up front. The factory is making each product one at a time. And that's the key benefit in this model, is that you can design a whole collection without having to spend thousands of dollars. You literally just put up designs, and whatever sells will get made and you get paid. Now this model works great for those with limited time, but also anybody who may want to start this as a side hustle before diving into the business. But in order for this model to work, guys, you have to focus on design, marketing, and sales. You have to truly understand your market and be ready to build relationships with influencers in the space in order to get the word out at a low cost. Throughout this video, our guests will show you how to do this. Now, although this is the closest thing you can get to running a passive income business, another major con that you need to know is that you can't control the quality of the prints or the placement. This is all gonna vary because it's being made one at a time, guys. It all depends on the factory's procedure and the person that's actually making your garment. Color-wise, another thing to note is that a red on a print may not match the red embroidered thread that you have. So colors may not match between different products. Now, before doing business with the factory, you can order samples and you can make sure that your colors look right. But the reality is that every product will be slightly different. It's not gonna be the same across every single print that you make. So you don't get to control the quality and you don't get to see it before it goes out to your customer. So in this model, you're fully relying on the factory to make the product correctly and ship it out to your customer on your behalf. Now, in order to pull off either one of these two models, it will require that you have an e-commerce store that's set up properly, as well as a website that looks legit. And later on in this video, we're gonna be diving into what all this means, including running ads on TikTok and Instagram with our guest, Chase Chappell. But right now, I wanna quickly thank Dot Store for making this video possible. possible. .store is helping sellers establish their brand through powerful domain names and is the domain name for sellers. Now, a domain name is a link that customers click on to go to your website, and the website's ending in .store tells customer that your website is an online store and instantly associates it with selling. Now, e-commerce store using this domain include Rihanna.store and even MrBeast.store, which are both multi-million-dollar businesses. In fact, Mr. Beast ditched the usual .com for a .store because he thought it was a better fit for his online store. A website that ends in .store tells your customers right away that they're stumbled upon an online store and helps you stand out from those long and confusing website names. You should consider using a .store in order to sell more, because in a unique 12-month-long study, data conclusively proved that a .store domain allowed you to sell more. Now, this study showed that websites on a .store domain got 87% more traffic, because seeing a .store in a website link instantly tells users that they can buy from you, which means more traffic, more sales, and leads to more money in your bank account. Now, an online store on a .store domain also gets double the visibility. And if all this were not enough, you also get 12% lesser cost per conversion when you're running ads. It's almost like it pays to be on a .store domain. Now, you can grab your store domain from Shopify, Namecheap, GoDaddy, or you can head to the link in the description and use my coupon code to snag your store domain name for just 99 cents for the first year. Now, head on over to the link in the description and use code JSTORE at checkout to get this offer. And once you've got a store domain, I've worked with the team there to cook up some amazing discounts for you that we put together in a starter pack. Now, anyone can access the deals we put together for free, but by owning a store domain name, you get higher, more exclusive discounts to essential services such as Suna, MailChimp, Vistaprint, and many others. And now that you know about these discounts, let's head back to the video. Now, if you're wondering what the difference between made to order and pre-order is, the answer to that is speed and your profit potential. Now, made to order assumes that you're creating something that can be printed and shipped pretty easily. Products such as hats, sweaters, pants, and accessories that are available off the shelf work really good for this. And your delivery time to a customer can be as fast as 3 to 14 days, depending on who you work with. But your profit margins aren't always the best. Now, running a pre-order campaign typically requires that you sell a product up front. You gotta collect that cash in order to reach your minimum order quantity with the factory. Now, that factory still has to make the products, which takes additional time. So you should plan on this process taking you 30 to 90 days before your customer receives it. While speed is a major con of pre-order, the big upside is that you're not investing a large amount of money up front. And you also have a really good potential to make some good profit margins. So what if you want to create a custom product, ship it out quickly, and make some good profit margins? Well, this brings us into play number 3, and that is bulk mode. Now, bulk mode requires you to have some cojones to do, amigo, as it's gonna require that you invest all your money up front in order to make a product that you can stock and ship as soon as the orders come in. And in this industry, you're considered a beast if you can pull this off profitably, because there's a lot of unknowns and is definitely not recommended for newbies. Now, the main reason I don't recommend this when you're just starting off is that you have no ability to forecast the demand for your products. You don't even know what sizes your customers want to buy most, or what colors they prefer, or what designs they resonate the most with. Because you need to place your orders up front, doing this without some experience is a lot like gambling. Now look, you can hit it big and get 3 to 10 times your profit margins, or you can lose it all. Now, when it comes to custom garments, you can expect to have a product cost anywhere from $5 to $10 if you're making it overseas. And if you can resell these products for $30 to $60, you're making bank. Now, if you have a budget for taking some risks, or perhaps your brand is already ready to take the next step, then let me illustrate how this works for you in order for you to know what you need to have in place before you pull the trigger. Now, this model works by you designing a collection. And typically, entrepreneurs at this stage have around $5,000 in order to spend for this. And they break it up between a t-shirt, an accessory item, a hoodie, and some joggers. Now, these 4 products each have different profit margins. And once the collection is designed, you actually reach out to different factories in order for them to quote the job out for you. Now, we're gonna link a video in the cards right up above that has some more information on how these transactions usually work out and how to best protect your investment. Now, the factory that you decide to work with will typically require that you pay for your order up front. They will then make the product to your specifications, and they're going to be sending you samples along the way that you need to approve in order for them to start making your final order. And once you're happy, then the manufacturer will actually make the items and ship it to your home or warehouse, and then it's up to you to sell it to your customers. And since you take on all this risk, you get to reap the rewards, because that's how capitalism works, guys. But you also have a huge liability if it doesn't sell. So for this model to work, you have to have a distribution plan before the order is placed. before you start spending any money, you want to start reaching out to influencers to get them on board. You want to line up pop-up events to actually attend and activate your customer base. And you want to create a promotional campaign that lets everybody know what you're about to drop. Because the last thing you want to do is have a bunch of products sitting there and no way to get them out. And as a plan B, you need to line up some boutiques who at the very least will commit to carrying your product on a consignment basis. What essentially this means is that they're going to pay you for it after they sell it to a customer. Now, the last thing you want to do with your brand is sell it at 50% off, because once you start doing that, your customers won't be willing to pay more than that. So you want to do everything that you can to make sure that you sell your orders fast, because monetary transactions are the lifeblood of business. And if you make a mistake with this model, your business is at risk for failing, guys. But it's not all doom and gloom, and honestly, we all live and learn, because I went through this with my very first order back when I was 19. Now, I initially ordered all the fabrics, I got manufacturing commitments, I placed deposits on those manufacturers, and then I found out that my invention didn't work out the way it was supposed to when we mass produced it. The samples worked out, but the mass production didn't. And at that point, I was $7,000 in the hole, and I could have easily called it quits and left the entrepreneurship dream behind, but I decided to continue, and even though that new design had nothing to do with our original business plan, making that decision cost me $20,000 in the hole and forced me to essentially grind it out and sell those products that we made. So we'd literally go to pop up at car meets. We'd sell in parking lots out of the trunk of the car. Now, the first few years were tough and it wasn't easy, but we had to find a way. And the brand went on to live for 10 years before we closed it down for good a few years ago. And one of the key things I learned throughout that journey and through the journey of other brands that we work with, in order for a brand to grow and thrive, it needs a community of diehard supporters supporting it and buying every drop. And even though social media gives you the ability to create an audience and a community, the algorithm can change at any time and literally throttle your reach to them. You may be reaching millions of them and then all of a sudden you reach hundreds, which is why it's super important for you to convert your social media followers into email subscribers. Email is one form of marketing that has stayed consistent over the years and allows you to tap into the people that are interested in what you're selling. And a super helpful tool to help you convert your website traffic into email subscribers is GetSiteControl. GetSiteControl makes email marketing easy. It helps you create pop-up forms that can pop up whenever a potential customer intends to leave your site or when they're browsing a certain product collection. By popping up at the right moment, you get to capture someone who is browsing and incentivize them into making a purchase. And if they don't purchase, GetSiteControl allows you to nurture the customer and make them into a die-hard fan. Through their email campaign scheduler and designer, they give you the tools to create engaging messages and promotion. GetSiteControl truly makes it easy for you to start and scale a brand, and we'll be diving into email marketing later on in this video, so huge shout outs to GetSiteControl for making this video possible. Now guys, I can't speak enough on the power of converting every single traffic into a lead through email, because the last model in the playbook is the most advanced and it's actually going to require a good size email list. Now this model is a lot like the Infinity Gauntlet, because when done correctly, it's going to help you scale a brand profitably with less risk. And this model we call the hybrid model. Now this is a model that no one's talking about, but some of the biggest brands in the world right now are using it. And in summary, this model allows you to combine the forces of print on demand and bulk mode. That's right, you get the power of both in one. But in addition to having a customer list that you could sell to, you also need some data to back up the decisions that you'll have to make, because the hybrid model really leans on your understanding of your core customer. And this is how it works. You start by testing new designs, and you call them quick strikes, using the on-demand model. And as orders start to come in and the demand starts picking up for them, you can switch to making them in bulk in order to increase your profit margins for that item. Or you can decide to sell out of the print-on-demand design and then announce a release of a new product with a similar style, but now it's made with bulk mode, so you're able to customize a little bit more of the details to increase your profit margins. Now the strategy is to stock the best-selling products in combination with new product ideas that are being made on demand. Now this allows you to expand into new product categories with less investment, and then you could double down on what's working when it's proven. Now to do this, you'll need a manufacturer that can accommodate warehousing of your finished products, because remember, they're stocking printed products. And then you also need to have somebody that can make products on demand for you. One supplier is Apliiq, who's working with select brands doing this business model right now, and they're killing it. But there's many others out there who are also popping up around the country, and we included a list of suppliers as well as a free PDF download to this playbook that's gonna be located on our website, and we link that website in the description down below, so make sure you go check that out. Because now that you have the playbook and the methods for scale, it's time that we start bringing our first guest on. And our first guest is Gruber, who has a track record of building brands from the ground up. Ian is the CEO of Apliiq, which grew from a 3,000 square foot location a few years ago and has now expanded to over 20,000 square feet across the country. Now, Ian is a man of many talents, including writing software, managing operations, hiring employees, raising investments, securing funds for expansions, and he also runs a profitable business servicing thousands of brands around the US. Now, I asked him to share some of the nuts and bolts of what it takes to build a multi-million-dollar business from the ground up, but I want to warn you though, he left no stone unturned. And after reviewing his interview, I realized that I couldn't leave out all this incredible gems that he shared that is gonna help you navigate the apparel industry. So make sure you grab yourself a couple of pages and get ready to take some notes, because in this first part of his interview, he covers what it takes to set goals, invest into proper products, grow a team, manage your operations, and overall optimize your business to be profitable along the way. So let's get started.
Oh man, if I was like setting out to build a clothing empire, I mean, it can be so many different things to different people, right? But I think you're just moving mass units of apparel, right? 100 million annually sales, it feels like an empire to me. And I think in the back of everyone's mind, right, you're like chasing bigger is better, right? Like having more sales is better, having more customers is better, having more like brand notoriety or brand awareness. I want to be a household name in every house in America or every house in the world. I don't know, I think that's probably everyone's dream. It's hard to tell for sure. Why is that the dream? I just think it gives people a sense of like success, accomplishment. You have a lot of people like buying into like what your ideas are, getting your product, wearing your product. I mean, even if you're small, just seeing somebody wearing your shirt, a shirt you made, you designed, your brand, that feels good. Imagine that with 1 million people wearing your stuff. That feels 1 million times good, right? That's kind of the human nature, like the empathy kind of based component to it. And then there's just like the financial side, like, hey dude, if you're doing things at scale, I think most people assume like there's a lot of money to be made there. And I think building wealth is what everyone's after, right? Like, hey, if you can check that box in your life, that's part of having a successful life. And when you're looking back at stuff, you're like, yeah, I did it right. If you're thinking about goals for building a clothing empire, the first thing I gotta say about goals is they're gonna change, right? So when you're getting started, you have your first set of goals, and then the people who are successful, what they do is they're really good at resetting their goals. So as soon as a goal is achieved, you gotta set the next goal. And you gotta set your goals in a good sequence. Like if your store isn't even up and running, you haven't done product yet, you haven't done anything, you're like, year one, I'm gonna do 10 million. It's like, I don't know if that is necessarily like the right goal, right? Like a lot of things need to be kind of checked off, and by doing things in the right order, in the right sequence, like, hey, let's get our first products made as the first goal, right? Hey, let's get those products out to market and start making sales, right? Then let's set up a big distribution channel for those products that we know will sell, right? Like doing those things in the sequence and having your goals sequenced correctly, I think is really the trick. So it's a trick question. There is not one goal, or if you're working towards one goal, you gotta be able to break that bigger goal down into like a series of goals that you can really like attack and accomplish. I mean, a goal that you can maybe crush in like a month is a good kind of time frame to operate in. You can also set like annual goals for yourself, but then you gotta break it down to like a monthly goal, like work towards something for that month or even that week, just depending on like how you schedule your kind of own time and the types of things that you're going after. For entrepreneurship, we are living in the golden age right now, guys. It is like the best time to be an entrepreneur. And there's so many reasons why. It's like you can spin up businesses with very, very, very little capital and risk. And that wasn't always the case. Like even 20, 30 years ago, if you wanted to do a t-shirt business, like you had to buy all the shirts up front, you had to do all the prints up front, then you had to hold on to them, you had to go to events and swap meets or show them to boutiques, right? And you had to do a lot of investment up front. And the world is just not like that anymore. With improvements like manufacturing and doing print on demand, you can now start a clothing line for like zero money, for basically nothing. And the beautiful thing about print on demand is when you use it right and do it well, it can begin to generate income, get customers, start to get profit coming in the door, and then you can reinvest that back into the business. And through that cycle of like continual reinvestment, you can start to scale stuff up, open up new sales channels, new distribution channels for your brand, and you're on your path to scale with your first sale. To get known and to get your brand out there, I mean, I just hope and I pray that you've started with like a community that you know and you're familiar and you're participating with. And it's like that initial community. I mean, it doesn't need to be huge. It could be 25 people, it could be 50 people, it could be 2,500 people, right? But like you're relying on that first set of customers and that initial community to get the word out about your brand. And your hope is that with every interaction, it's like net positive for you, meaning like, hey, every person you're interacting with is gonna tell somebody else, right? And you want like some virality component to your brand, whether it's rad designs, whether it's a backstory about how the brand got started. Maybe you're working with like an influencer or celebrity and they're backing you, right? But there needs to be some sort of like social currency around the brand. So when you're putting energy into doing your initial marketing, your push, that you get some amplification out of that, right? You can present as if you are a much more established brand than you are. You might not always want to take that approach. You might want to tell people, hey, we are a startup brand. But either way, you can put on like a very, very professional front. Even if you're not selling professionally, you can make it feel like pro. And you can pull that off with very limited capital. Right? If you're pushing for building an empire, you're probably going to be taking all those profits and reinvesting in your business, and you should do that wherever you can get the best return on your money. Sometimes you have to like break a log jam that's stopping you from scaling up. Sometimes you have to invest in like hiring a first employee, right? Sometimes you want to invest in increasing paid ads, or pay somebody to like do a collaboration with you, right? So however you want to structure that investment, I would really be weighing your options based on like what you think your return on that investment can be. Some of the best things that you can do up front are like, hey, taking good photos, right? So just ordering a sample, grabbing really good photos of product photography, get your friends that are good looking or are influential or can tell like a good story around your product, right? And why they like your product. And capturing that stuff can be super cost effective, right? Like that can just be your time and energy, and it might not cost you real hard dollars and cents, right? If you're gonna spend money, from a marketing standpoint, things like doing SEO, email marketing it's like a dinosaur at this point, right? But like that works, right? Like sending out emails works, it's super effective. You should be getting like a really good ROI there, something like 40-1. Check out the plugins for your Shopify store for email marketing. My personal favorite is Klaviyo, works really well, integrates out of the box with Shopify, and just giving your potential customers or your existing customers like the right message at the right time. That's pay dirt right there. Yeah, I mean, like when you're talking about scaling a business, what you're really doing is you're planning ahead, right? And so you're looking out into the future and saying like, hey, if I was gonna look, last month I did 25K, if I wanna do 50K, what do I need to actually make that happen? Do I need double the ad spend? Do I need a new collection? Do I need a collaboration? And at some point in your journey of scaling, you're gonna realize you need something that's more reliable, something that you can't trust a third party, and that's when you have to hire like your own team of people. It could be like a creative person doing graphic design work for you, or it could be like a logistics person who's gonna like help you. It could be like a salesperson who's gonna get boutiques for you, right, and sign up wholesale accounts. But at some point, there's gonna be a mission critical task that you don't have enough time to do yourself, or you've been doing it already and you kind of identified like, I'm failing here. And that's when you know you need to hire a team member. Look, straight up, hiring an employee is a huge investment, right? There's a lot more complexity. There's payroll. There's a lot of operational components to having employees here in the United States, certainly. It's a big investment, right? So you'll want to make sure you have a lot of clarity before you go into that. So, like as we talked about before, when you're looking to scale something, what you're really doing is an exercise in looking into the future, right? So like there's a creative element to it where you have to look into the future and start to think about, hey, I know what I'm doing right now. And if I wanted to double that, what would the world look like? If I wanted to 10x it, what would the world look like? If I wanted to 100x it, what would the world look like? And so the more that you understand about your current business, it'll help you understand the bottlenecks that you need to break down in your business to be able to achieve scale. There's gonna be things that hold you back. They're not people holding you back. It's like the system or the process that you've set up or the way that you're doing things has a natural limit in your ability to grow. And a lot of times the limitations aren't necessarily what you think they are. Like sometimes they're like financial limitations. So one thing that you want to understand as you're looking to scale your business is just like the unit economics of your business. And so if you're running a business, you should definitely know some sort of accounting. And personally, I think like the most valuable accounting report, and there's like three main ones, right? But is like the profit and loss statement. And the profit and loss statement is a really cool report because it tells you a ton about your business just up front. And so it's organized into these basic categories of like you have it at the top of your P&L, profit and loss is P&L, is your income. And you can categorize your income however you want to, right? And so if you're a clothing line, like a very standard categorization would be like, hey, my online store. That would be like one line item in your income, right? Then you could have another one like, hey, I'm selling wholesale. I'm selling to boutiques. And you want to organize all of your income from your wholesale business into that line item. Well, why would you want to do that? Well, you want to see, hey, is my store revenue growing and my wholesale shrinking? Or is my wholesale shrinking and my store growing? And by separating out your income streams, it can help you have insights into like what's working in your business and what's not working in your business. And if you're the owner or you're driving the strategy of that business, it quickly tells you like where you need to put your time and attention. Like, hey, we're losing accounts in wholesale. What's going on? I'm going to call these accounts that dropped us, right? They haven't ordered in 30 days, 90 days, 180 days. Want to talk to the clothing owner. What's going on? Oh, it's pandemic. Nobody's buying anything, right? Like not much I can change there. I better focus more time on, my store. Then the next part of your P&L is called COGS. It's just a little acronym for cost of goods sold. And this is like the manufacturing side of your business or whatever you need to do to produce the product that you're selling, right? And so what the COGS is going to tell you is basically like what your gross profit margin is. And so what you do is you take your income, you subtract out your cost of goods sold. It's going to tell you what your gross profit is, right? And then you can divide that by your income, and then you know what your gross profit margin is. But the interesting thing about like cost of goods sold is like you have a lot of control here. And like if you're using like print on demand, for example, generally it's regarded as a little bit more of a costly way to produce products, right? It has other benefits, right? Like you're not investing capital up front, you're not doing those types of things. But maybe if you're doing bulk production, you could lower your cost of goods sold, right? So let's say you're doing just a really basic example, like, hey, I'm selling t-shirts for $20. Really cheap t-shirts. We're going, cost-effective t-shirts. Cost me $15 in print on demand to produce and ship out that shirt, right? And so I know my gross profit is $5, right? So I know I'm making like 25% gross profit margin on that t-shirt. Relatively low. Like ideally you want gross profit margin in apparel, like 50%'s pretty good. Like if you can run apparel up to 90% gross profits. If you're really, really getting after it, doing everything at scale, you're selling through crazy, you have very low kind of like you're just producing at mass scale is really the trick there, and you're charging super high price. But the interesting thing to kind of like think about your business is like, look, print on demand can achieve really high margins too. Like, look, if you take your income and instead of that $20 for a shirt, charge $40 or charge $45 for a shirt, right? You're like, no, I could never sell a shirt for $45. Okay, just suspend disbelief for a second, right? And be like, all right, $45 shirt. Now instead of making $5 a shirt, you're making $30 a shirt. And your gross profit margins went from 25% really quick to like 66%. That's a super, super healthy gross profit margin, especially if you're using print on demand. So, part of your strategy could be like, hey, in order to reduce gross profit, I need to get my COGS lower. The other part of it could be like, I need to get my income higher on a per unit basis, right? So like thinking about what is the bottleneck of your business? Is it getting your t-shirt cost from, you know, $15 to $14? It's not going to do much on your gross profit margin, right? But if you could double your t-shirt price or even get, you know, a significant amount more for your shirt, you would be doing much, much better, right? So like that can open up the ability to make other investments in other places in your business. But let's keep going through the profit and loss model. Then below your line here, below your gross profit, you have something called operating expense. It's also called OPEX, just for short. But like those are your fixed monthly expenses. They don't go away. It doesn't matter how many shirts you sell in a month. It's your rent. It's your electricity bill. It's your Shopify store fixed monthly fee. Shopify doesn't care if you sell, you know, a million things or one thing. You're paying the $29 a month, right? So those are all your fixed operating costs. But like those are some of the investments that you can make in the long term that like help you scale up. Like, hey, dude, we're gonna do a retail location now. The monthly rent is $5K a month. That's going to be in your OPEX, dude. If your profit margins up here can support that OPEX, you can open up a new distribution channel, right? So thinking through your unit economics in your P&L statement can help you like identify roadblocks or barriers to scale in your business. And a lot of times people are like, how do I make it the cheapest? But like making it the cheapest kind of leads you to like a suboptimum. It's like you're maximizing a minimum. Like your path to scale may look like this, right? And you might find that it's bigger than this point that you started at, but now you've found that maximal minimum, right? Whereas like what you want to do is get up to here. But if you just chase the lowest cost up front, you're cheaping out on stuff, right? Like packages got to show up maybe late if you're like Alibaba drop shipping from China, or like, you know, it's like got Chinese writing. Like, dude, your customer's not going to be stoked with that. They're not going to order again. You're not going to be able to sell to that person again. You cost yourself a customer. If people feel like they have a really good brand experience, they're buying a premium product, they feel like they're part of a community, they're willing to spend more for it, or you're doing something special for them, that can get you to the next maximum that you want to achieve, right? And so I think a lot of the beauty of the clothing line business is in the income side, and like what can you do to make it special? Like what new artists can you work with? What new collaboration can you bring? You know, what new event can you put on? Those are all things that build value in your brand equity, in your product. Like, why is it that Supreme can charge, you know, $500 for a crew neck, you know? Like, ask yourself that question. That's a problem we're solving. I don't know if, you know, shaving off 50 cents in your cost of goods sold. I mean, yeah, if you can do it, right? But like, that's not necessarily your problem to scale up front, right? So look at your unit economics and then think creatively about like how you can maximize your gross profits, because that is basically how much money you're getting per sale. And it might be better to like sell 10 customers for that higher product than sell 100 at the lower margin, especially if those guys are going to continue to buy from you, lifetime customers, right? You're giving them something they can't get anywhere else. That's like the business that I would want to run.
Didn't I tell you that Ian was going to drop some gems for you all? And if right now you're watching and you want to hear more from him, then you can do that by just scrubbing over to the next part of his interview that's located in the chapter marks right down below. Because as you can tell, building an empire takes some thought. And right now, it might seem unachievable for you. It might even seem impossible after hearing all this information. But do you want to know a secret? We all start by taking the next best step forward, and we all figure it out as we go. Which is why I'm excited to introduce you to our next guest, Abdel Rodriguez, who's the founder of Kronis. And Kronis essentially runs an elite soccer training academy, offers some of the highest quality goalkeeper gloves, and he has now expanded into combat sports and athleisure. Now, Kronis is one of those brands that transcend the sport of soccer and has now been able to attract the attention of major sports stars, influencers, and celebrities in different spaces. Now, I first met Abdel back when we were in high school together, and I actually witnessed the moves that he's made since then. And one of the things I notice about him is that he's super passionate about design, about product design. And I really think that's where we connect. as the level of detail that he puts into his products shows through the manufacturing. So for all those that are considering and making their own custom products, you're gonna wanna take some notes. As Abdel didn't start as a designer, he actually began as a goalkeeper in soccer, but he was able to transfer his passion of the sport of soccer and created a multi-million-dollar empire with it.
Yeah, hi, my name is Abdel Rodriguez. I'm the owner of Kronis, and Kronis is basically dedicated to develop and design as many goalkeepers in the country as possible with designing their products, putting them in colleges, and more than anything, developing them into better athletes that, we sometimes tend to lack within the country. So I think without necessarily understanding what I was doing, I was in need of gloves itself, with being low income and playing out in Mexico and coming back into this country. Looking for sponsorship deals was always something that was maybe vital if we couldn't afford gloves. So receiving gloves was always a much appreciated thing. But when I started becoming more of age and understanding and learning that people were making gloves, it was one of those times where I just kind of felt like, oh cool, I'll make some gloves, make something that I like, that I can personally continue using when I came to now playing into the collegiate world. And from there, Kronis just kind of, took over on that one where, one glove became two gloves, and from two gloves, well, here we are, almost, we're officially 9 and 6 months, years later. When it comes to, the differenceness of it, or I guess our biggest point that I've always wanted to push was the freshness of it, right? So instead of us going and just, using some random manufacturer, random factory that can just do, I guess, cookie cutter kind of things, we chose to go a maybe not so smart path and, buy our own equipment, open up our own factory and place everything there. So we actually import everything from Germany. And then from there, technically from Germany, export it into Ukraine, and then from Ukraine, it comes here into the US. So the biggest thing that we do is that we manufacture just enough or a little bit over what we need for that month. And every month, on the first of the month, we try to receive gloves that we try to keep as fresh as possible, right? So on average, whatever glove a dad or mom are buying for their child or the goalkeeper's buying for themselves, you're looking at a 2 to 3 week old product that was just made, right? So usually all production starts around the 10th or 12th, 13th of the month. We receive it on the 1st, and hopefully all of it is being used that month, which is kind of what has taken us majority of the years to kind of calculate. But the biggest thing that I guess, hold myself on that standard is keeping it as fresh as possible. That way there's no sort of, stock just sitting and then selling it whenever, we need it to get rid of. It's everything as fresh. And a lot of things that, we enjoy is when we receive the packages and everything's getting stocked up is that chemical smell from a factory that allows us to know, obviously we know, because I'm the one doing all that, but if I'm a goalkeeper receiving it and knowing how much of this, scent there is of just chemicals and factory and stuff like that, of how fresh the latex actually is, and it's not something that's been sitting in a container for 6, 7, 8 months, sometimes up to a year with some of the other brands. I think earlier on, the biggest thing is just understanding that it's not exactly what you want to push, but it's what people are receiving back, right? So a lot of times I wouldn't manufacture or wouldn't produce or wouldn't design a glove or an item. There was a time that I created cleats and stuff like that, but I would make an item that I would wear, and that was it. And if I wouldn't want to wear it, there was no point of making it. And although there is, a customer base for that, there are goalkeepers that will gladly wear the same thing. It's also important to understand that, well, there's kids and girls that aren't into that, and it's been the hardest path for me even until today, where I'm a diehard fan of a glove that I made that I would wear, and it's the glove that has to stay. And unfortunately, dealing with issues of, well, it's maybe not selling correctly, there's adjustments that need to be made, maybe it's an item that we have to drop, and that I'm emotionally invested into it because it's what I would have worn and it's what I think needs to get pushed the most. It's not always the answer, right? And I think a lot of times, as any sort of, head of development or head of design of any sort of factory or any sort of business, it's almost like it cuts deep within you, right? Because you put so much effort, maybe the excitement was behind there, and it just quote unquote failed. Or a lot of times, it's maybe not the time for it, right? There's gloves that I designed back in 2015 that today would have been the best thing ever, right? But maybe I was just ahead of the time. So it's being aware of that, just because you like it doesn't mean it needs to come out right now. And also being aware that just because it fell today doesn't mean that it's gonna fail tomorrow, right? And I think the next one would be obviously doing things as professional as possible. It would have been much easier for me to just keep ordering from a factory and just, buying, let's say 1,000 gloves for, the stock of 6 months and keeping that same thing. But we decided to kind of go a little bit more deeper into the pockets and try to do something that I knew I would like. That if I was that 15-year-old kid buying it again, I would have been very appreciative that I knew it's fresh, it's new, and it's gonna last me the time it should, and not just to, quote unquote, get more of a returning based customers, because I can just simply cut the lifespan of this glove, knowing that you'll come back in 3 months, which is the average lifespan of any glove, and knowing that with a kid, I'll be able to get 3, 4 to 5 different sales if I just simply gave them a little bit of older latex. So doing that kind of thing, going above and beyond, to me, it's the reason why we're still here, right? Almost 10 years later. So when I started Kronis glove-wise, I remember we got information that there was an academy or a private training out in Florida by a gentleman who is considered like a US legend when it comes to playing. And he was basically producing these gloves from like China, right? I don't really know how much, great detail he was putting into it, but the only thing he wanted he wanted every kid to look the same, right? So it was his only way to doing it, right? You get this glove, everyone wears it, cool. When I found that out, I was a freshman in college and I thought, oh, I didn't know that you can make your own glove, right? So I spent all that year doing it. And for me, the only reason it was is because there was a glove that I had fallen in love with and it was no longer available, right? This is 2011-ish, and the glove came out 2008. So I was getting like the last versions of them available. And that's all I wanted. I wanted to make 20 pairs so I can wear. I knew I was going to transfer into a Division I program. So I just wanted to wear that at the Division I program. I didn't want to wear Adidas or Nike, not because they were bad quality, but I just didn't, it's kind of like my work tools, right? We all have preference of a pen, of a pencil, of, a laptop adapter, whatever it is. So that was it. From there, I think it was just my ambition to say, I'll go into cleats, I'll go into this, I'll go into that, which maybe was a mistake at that time because we didn't have the funds for it, To be fair, I think me producing cleats was almost what killed the brand at one point, but the learning experience on that was, unimaginable for it. So making gloves, I think, was just because as a goalkeeper, it's what we all have, right? You have an abundance of them, or you try to if you can. For example, the other day I was hearing some of the pro guys in the EPL talk, and they're getting 30 pairs per color. You're talking about 6 colorways per year, so just like that 180 gloves that are just being used in a year, and you're not necessarily using them all, but someone's using them, whether it's you taking them in and you using them in training, gifting them to a kid or whatever it is, right? So I think for goalkeepers, it's like our little obsession, different kind of gloves, right? I'm sure if there was another guy here that was a goalie at one point, me and him could just talk, for 30, 40 minutes about what gloves you use, and oh yeah, I use that one, I didn't like that one, right? So it's our meticulous thing that we all share as an experience. And I think it's what makes the goalie a goalie, right? At the end of the day, right? We all wear cleats, we all wear shin guards, but there's only one guy that has the gloves on. So it just kind of happened that way where I needed it. It was my equipment and it kept working out. A couple, bad luck here and there. And here we are where it just continues to work out in that sense. I think for us, like the biggest thing that helped us out in that point of my, whatever career with Kronis or whatever, was just simply the fact of knowing the product, right? I always lived with the advice of if your own city doesn't rock with you or your own people within your city, there's no point of you exporting out. So for me was if I couldn't convince kids in Vegas to wear this glove, I then can't go worldwide, right? You can't go to California if you can't convince people in Vegas, because they're the ones that just because you're from Vegas, they're gonna try it out, right? And I remember earlier on, maybe this is 2013, there was another brand here in Vegas that came up and they were gifting the gloves away. And I remember one of the things that they told another of the clients, it doesn't make sense why we gift it to them, then you turn around and go to Kronis and buy it. Like, why don't you just accept our free glove, And the reality was, well, like, we know Abdel, he's connected here, like we know the path, right? He's kind of like one of us. I happened to play Division I already. I had my experience in the, professional worlds there. So all those things connect you to everyone else, right? Because you have stories that maybe someone else does and someone wishes to have. So for me, it's like if you go out and you do that extra work, and one thing that I did was I would finish playing for UNLV and I would just drive my car at, 8 o'clock after film and go to parks and just talk to parents and say, hey, my name's Abdel, I'm 20 years old. Give them my little pitch at that time, which was I'm 20 years old, I play for UNLV, I just started this company, I'm wondering if you need gloves. They're $35. And that was it, right? Like, and I did that every day for that year, and it took me about 7 months to sell the first glove, and by that point I was just desperate. I just really wanted my money back because I was broke, and those, whatever it was, $250 really would go a long way at that time. But I think by doing so, the moment the first glove hit, it was just like a, like a snowball effect. And it's the same thing that's going on now. I remember I took a course, and there was this guy who was a General Electric VP, and he would, I don't know, I guess he would work for the school for free and would just give advice instead of golfing that morning. And he would tell me that the moment I hit my first 100 grand that I would produce, the next, so that the first 200 grand would be within, I don't know, months. He's like, but it's gonna take you forever. And it took us about maybe 7 years to hit that first 100 grand. And then from then on, it took us 3 months to hit 200, right? And at this point, we know that, there's months that we hit it, So it's one of those things that when I look back and I think about all that effort that it took us to get there, it's nothing compared to the enjoyment I get today, right? So my advice would be that, like, understand if you really want to do this, you really have to do it. You really have to go out and connect with what you're trying to get, right? Basketball players connect with basketball players here. And it's not always about connecting with the best basketball players, because to be fair, you're not selling to them, or you're not offering this product to them. You're offering it to everyone else that wants to get there. And I think I did that mistake as well of, let me go for people like me at that time, Division I athletes that were good quality goalkeepers already, when my 7-year-olds were, that was a customer that I needed to focus on. How can I produce this for the 7-year-olds? Because there's abundance of them. There's not many me's at that time anymore, right? I was already in the 1% of the country playing wise. So when you look at that, right, there's only so little of us that are willing to pay that. But there's a 99% of kids that are available right now if you connect to them. When you begin, a lot of times we copy, a lot of times you don't know how to design, so all you do is, this came from inspiration of maybe a Porsche, or this came from inspo of, a Nike design, or this and that, but you're kind of embarrassed because you think, someone's gonna know where I got this. But I think it's the very first step to just do, you just do it, you drop it, and then we figure it out, right? There's no reason to double stress in life, in the sense of, I'm stressed out about me doing this, and then when I do it, I gotta stress out again, because now it's reality. But you know that once you do it, great, then the next one I'll just fix, and then I'll just fix, and I'll just fix, right? I got sued 6 months into Kronis, and I'm 20 years old. I remember it's January, and I just have starting, my second semester at UNLV, and I get hit with the cease and desist letter by a pretty big brand out in the UK for a glove that I had taken, I think, a year to design. And I couldn't understand how I was getting sued, because I was like, I did this, there's no way. And I took it to that, the professor I said that was a VP for General Electric at one point, and he read it, he took care of it, never heard from them again. But he told me, he's like, in the paper it says that there's a patent pending for this design. And to me, I thought it was the most biggest, BS ever, because it wasn't patented yet. So for all I knew is that they liked it. I'm gonna send this kid this, he's probably gonna get scared, we'll keep it, we'll patent it, and we'll drop it. I think it was 3 or 2 years later, that same design dropped under their brand, right? So sometimes by you doing this, by you taking these chances of creating something that maybe doesn't exist or does exist, but you better it, you kind of start a new little trend, right? To me, it was the coolest thing that I thought, man, like, technically, I am a designer. Another brand that's been around for 30 years just took my thing, tried to sue me for it. Nothing came out of it where I lost, but someone else is using it. Honestly, many people would get pissed off about it. During that time, my mindset was still on becoming a professional athlete, so I didn't really care too much about it. But I look back about it and I'm like, man, that's awesome. That's awesome that early on I was able to make some sort of, wave into this ocean or whatever. So for me, going to that, again, the advice is always just starting it, right? Whatever it is, and there's so many people that are like, right now, if I open up my WhatsApp, I got, a group of multiple glove brand owners or glove designers that will ask me questions about, hey, what's the story behind this? How'd you come about this? And to me, I'm like, well, the design is everywhere. I traveled to Japan twice, and during my time in Japan, I came with a glove that is known as a Kronis Academy glove, and it's, one of the, 5-7 gloves in the world that got the patent approval, right? So it's Kronis, Adidas, Nike, And there's like 3 other brands that were able to get patents from it, right? And that just came from me being in Japan, walking through it, seeing the amount of wires through, the streets. The design came from there. I threw something else in it. Boom. Took me about 8 months of sampling, dealing with it, and you're talking about 2018, and it's a patent at this point, right? Which, again, all it is just you like it, I liked it, great, we went with it, it worked out, and here we go. Right? And it's something I tweeted out yesterday, like the moment you let go of the gas pedal, it's easy for you to start becoming sluggish. It's easy for you to start swerving away, because it's easier, I think as humans, we enjoy comfort, and I think there's a lot of lies within comfort, Comfort isn't just sitting here and doing what you want. Comfort to continue to grow is being able to, you get your stuff done and then you earn it at the end of it, right? I do everything I need, whether it's waking up at 4, getting everything done. Even today, like I said, with the YouTube channel, I gotta go and we're out there at 6:45 and it's 30-something degrees out there. And in my head, I'm like, I can't believe I used to do this as a kid. I don't know why I'm doing it now at 29. I can easily do it at 10, but I understand that I don't have time to do it at 10 because I need to get done by then. And it's one of those things where it's just like, it's part of it, right? It's my job to do it. And if you treat everything in that sense of, okay, maybe I'm feeling this one way and I just gotta get moving. I just gotta get through 1 or 2 things. And I think a lot of times we think, I'm gonna start losing weight, let me start lifting. I'm gonna start doing this. You kind of go to like the extreme version of it right away. But it's hard enough, and this, and I think we all know this, to just go on a walk. So if we start off with just, I'm gonna go on a walk, or let's say, I don't know, I'm designing gloves and there's someone else, and it's like, I'm just gonna design one thing today or this week. And next thing you know, it's 2 and then 3, and then you get to the point where I'm just doing it for fun on a sketch, right? And it's just like, this is trash, or this is good. Or sometimes I take pictures and I send it to my guy who has a glove brand out in Texas, and I'm like, hey, I think this fits your style more, right? And I'm handing these things out, which I should be charging for them, to be fair, but it's kind of like there's so many that it doesn't really harm me to just, hey, this one looks like something that's in your style. It's the same thing, right? But whatever it is, it's like 1 email, 2 emails. To be fair, that's my biggest downfall with emailing. I know I should be checking them and be emailing back to people, but it's one of the biggest nuisance to me to be checking my phone and the laptop. So all I do is I at least put myself on, I'm gonna check it this one time this day, whatever's there I take care of, and I keep saying that's Abdel's problem for tomorrow. So it's the same thing here, right? If we're able to just start on one thing, it'll easily just continue with that snowball effect of one thing becomes the next thing and becomes the next thing, and next thing you know, you're just fully into it, because it's human nature that you start adapting, right? The way you can adapt to being comfortable is the same way you can adapt to being comfortable within a little bit of chaos.
As Abdel mentioned, when you're competing against the giants in the sport of soccer, you have to create a product that stands out. And it's honestly the same thing in the business that you guys are about to start. The reality is that the market is saturated with new brands, and if you plan on building an empire, you have to create something that will stand the test of time. Which is why what Abdel is doing right now is game changing. He found his core market in the sport of soccer, and then he translated those interests into boxing and MMA. And he recently launched a new soccer cleat that all future pros are currently scooping up. Now, the attention to detail really shows in the products that he created, and the Kronis brand has become known for the quality and performance standards that it has. And if you want to learn more about Abdel and everything that he's doing with Kronis, I linked his Instagram down below, AbdelRDZ, and you can also check out his website at kronis.us to see this for yourself. I share all this to say that nothing great is built overnight, and there are no shortcuts. Because to grow a business, you need to have a product that can sell, but then you also need to manage your funds and the inventory that you're selling. So let's bring Ian back for part 2 as he covers what it takes to scale a business. And for those of you who are looking to raise funding, you're gonna wanna listen in on how VC and private investors work in order to best position your brand for this new investment.
If you want to scale up your brand, at some point, it's very, very likely that you're gonna have to address capitalization or funding that business, right? And the reason why you want to fund the business is because it helps you remove some of those bottlenecks, right? That you may encounter, like hiring the next employee or setting up a new distribution channel or doing the next collaboration, right? All of those things require cash, and so you need to go get that cash. The way that most things are funded, there's like a whole approach to doing funding that I want to quickly walk you guys through, just so you kind of understand the lay of the land, then you can plug in where you think it's appropriate. Generally, when you get started, you're gonna self-fund it. And then right after that is angel. And then you have your VC, then you have your PE, And then you can also have like IPO over here. And generally you kind of sort of go like that or like that with your funding strategy. So when you're self-funding, that's just like, hey, you're going to take money out of your bank account, you're going to put it into the business bank account, you probably have some ownership, maybe you're a sole proprietor, all that stuff is blended together, you are your own business, you're DBA, doing business as, right? That's kind of like the easiest way. You basically just have to convince yourself that either there's a really good idea for you, or maybe it's not a good idea, but it's something you want to do anyway. And a lot of things, just let it happen kind of approach. When you're looking for funding for angels are typically like friends and family round, or small like family offices, private offices. They're generally people who are they're generally like successful people who have some private wealth. They like working with founders. They like working with entrepreneurs. They usually have specific interests that they're interested in. So yeah, angels are great. It's usually people who are really close to you. You probably know them already. It's like your parents' friends. But you'll want to treat these people with like a lot of respect. You want to come in with a straight up pitch. The pitch is going to be like, hey, you're going to give me this money. This is exactly what I'm going to spend it on. And this is what we're going to get out of that investment. Like when the investment's done, this is the end state that we're shooting for, right? That comes down to your pitch. Any one of these guys that you're talking to, you're gonna wanna have a pitch set up. And there's a ton of content out there about doing your pitch, setting up your pitch, all the information you should have in your pitch. There's just a tremendous amount of information on there that I don't wanna go too far into right now, but you'll have to get that set up. So angels are like a really good strategy for raising small amounts. And then what you're gonna be doing is you're gonna start with your first investment. It's typically called a seed investment. It's going to be something, it could be as small as like 5K, right? And it could be as much as 5 million, right? Just depends on the type of business that you're trying to run. Like if you're doing like a huge software endeavor, you might need $5 million to go hire 5 or 10 developers, build a product and get it live, right? If you're doing something like a clothing company, maybe you need 5K to just fund your first run, right? Or to get a store set up, hire a graphic designer, kick off your first collaboration, right? All that type of stuff. So that's your seed round. And then coming out of your seed round, then you have your Series A. And then you just go down the alphabet, right? B, C, D, and so on and so forth. And generally, like in your series, like a lot of times self-funding here, angel here, and sometimes VCs will participate in seed rounds. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes VCs only want to come in for Series A once you have like a proof of concept. But if you're confused about the difference between VC and PE, let me just break that down for you guys real quick. VC stands for venture capital, whereas PE stands for private equity. Venture capital, if you confuse these things often, just remember, venture is like an adventure. Things are going to go wrong over here in this world. And basically VCs are looking for a 10x return. And they know that only 1 out of 10 companies will kind of make it, right? And so they know that they're taking an adventurous approach to investment. It's kind of like how I think about it. But yeah, they're looking for kind of like high risk, high return things. They want to put their money in early. Each one of these rounds, you're going to end up giving away about 10% of your business every time you do it. So just keep that in mind. But VCs are definitely going to want to like get a controlling, like they're going to look to kind of control your business over the long term, right? So they'll typically back you as long as you did what you said you were going to do in your seed round and the opportunity still looks good. Market conditions are good. You did a good job in your seed round. They'll also come in and fund your Series A round. And the cool thing about working with VCs is those guys are connected. They have a community of investors around them. A lot of times they'll work with other family offices or other angel investors or even other VC or PE firms. And they'll typically lead the round. So your lead investor is the guy or the group, right, who's going to bring in all the other money. Now they're going to want you to go and find the money as well. They're like, hey, you need to bring people in too. But generally they'll make introductions for you, introduce you to people, tell you people to pitch to or how to find people to pitch to, right? They're there, they're in your corner, they want you to win, right? And they want to continue to invest through your rounds. But remember, the VCs only get paid when you exit the business, meaning you're going to sell this business to somebody else or you're going to take that business public. So ultimately, there's this weird kind of tension that's going to exist between you and whoever your VC backer is, where if you want to hold on to that company, you want it to be your company forever, that is a natural kind of opposite end of the spectrum of the VC who's looking for an exit. And guess what? From a VC perspective, the faster the exit, the better for them, right? So they want an exit in 2 years, 4 years, 5 years. They don't want to be in it for 10 years. They don't want to be in it for 20 years. That's not what they're looking for. They want to get into it, make a good return on the money, and get out of it, right? So you just have to understand that that's what the VCs are looking to do. And so if you want to play in that game, that's kind of what your expectation should be. Move quickly, invest their money quickly, get good returns fast. PE, on the other hand, is private equity. Generally, these guys, they kind of act a little bit like strategic banks, if you will. They typically have a fund of money that they've raised. So they have 50 million, 100 million, 200 million, and they're typically working within a market. So they're looking to like buy multiple businesses within a market, integrate those businesses together, make those businesses work together, or combine those companies in ways that are more cost effective, right? So you could buy 2 or 3 different competitors, combine them all together, get rid of an executive team, put in your own executive team, condense the accounting function, one marketing function. You can quickly see how you can start reducing all your operating expenses, right, from our P&L talk, and clean all that out, but then combine all the revenue. So you take 3 small companies, turn them into one really big company that's even more efficient operating, right? So that, and now you have a much more valuable, bigger company. Typically, the way valuations are done on businesses, the bigger the company is, the higher the valuation is going to be, right? So they've already created value in the business just by taking 3 small guys and combining them. Then they can turn around and sell that business to somebody else, right? So those guys are doing those types of things. They generally will only invest in businesses that are already profitable. You're not going to get PE money if you're getting started. If you think you can go raise money off of PE and you don't have a business that's up and operating, I don't think that's very likely at all. They're going to want to see usually about like 10 million in revenue, depending on your space, and they'll definitely want to see EBITDA profit, right? Remember how we were talking about EBITDA in the P&L. So they'll generally want to see something like $1 million in EBITDA minimum before they'll even talk to you. So those guys are a little bit bigger in the life cycle. And then what IPO is just initial public offering. So ultimately you have kind of 2 paths to exit, right? You could either be acquired by another company, they're going to buy out your company, or you could take your company public, right? That's when the general public buys shares in your stock, like New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ, and now the company is owned by the public at large, and that creates an exit for a lot of investors who are investors in your business. So look, if you're looking to get started, you're really talking about self-funding, angel funding, and maybe family office funding. If you are super connected, or you're connected to people who are connected, you might be able to get VC funding. But VCs are really going to want to hear a super compelling story as to like why they should invest in your clothing line. Like maybe you have some celebrity backing, or maybe you have something that's totally new and revolutionary, like a completely new fabric that you've done, like a bulletproof fabric, or like a glow-in-the-dark fabric, or a fabric that's water usage is way, way, way less. But VCs are going to play hardball with you. They're going to push on you and be like, why clothing line? Why not just sell to all the other clothing lines? Couldn't you grow it faster that way? And they're very, very seasoned business people, and they're going to come with like hard hitting questions there. But yeah, VCs are definitely going to want to know why you're different. Like, why are you different than everyone else, right? So yeah, I think for most clothing line people who are getting started, you're talking self-funding, angel funding. Once you have something that's up and operating, then you have a lot of options, right? Yeah, so one of the key things to scale is like, you always have to keep in the back of your mind, right? Like, hey, when I'm doing good this year, like you just had a ripping month, right? You like crushed it. You're like so proud of yourself. You always keep in the back of your mind, you're like, oh man, like next year, I need to do everything I did this month and even more than that to continue to grow, right? So like it puts a lot of kind of forward-looking pressure and stress on like, hey, how do I stay relevant as a brand? What are the next moves I'm gonna make? And how do you kind of go about doing that and planning those things? And my own personal trick is like, I always just like to interact with and talk to the customers, whoever your customers are, more than anything. I think like keeping in the pulse of your customers. What are they talking about? What are they doing? Like, what are the role models they're looking up to? Like, their role models, that's your next brand sponsor, right? Like, those are the key kind of insights that you can gain from your customers, right? So, like, one insight in Apliiq's business is like, hey, we do a bunch of print-on-demand manufacturing, we do a bunch of bulk manufacturing, right? But, like, it's very, very often that a brand partner of ours will come and, like, they'll do a run of, like, 100 like hoodies, right? Like branded private label hoodies. And they'll like put together the order and they'll be like, hey, so you'll hold on to these for me, right? And ship them out just like the print on demand stuff I'm doing. And we're like, no, like we don't warehouse stuff right now. But like that was something that I'd heard, for the last 3 to 4 years. So like this year, everything that we're doing is like, we're working on building out our capability of like holding finished product and then fulfilling that for our customers. And like that's really important to our customers because they want to do that to be able to scale up, right? They want like faster shipping times, or so in some cases we want screen printed products for like fleece, screen printing for fleece products, all of those types of things. There's just certain products that are challenging to make on demand and that you want to pre-produce up front. And then also the benefit of like really fast shipping times, right? Like no production time, you just pick it and ship it. So there's a bunch of reasons why our brand partners want to do warehousing and fulfillment. And it makes a ton of sense to me. And so like, that's something that we're doing over on the Apliiq side to like stay relevant and, make sure that we're being the best partner that we can be for our customers. And so even when you're operating a clothing brand, like you have this opportunity to like lead your audience, lead your market, do things that are creative, do things that are unpredictable, work with new people, like introduce sponsors into your community, create new content, like fund projects that your community thinks are rad. Maybe it's like a street art installation that you want to like work with a graffiti muralist on. By the way, we're putting this rad mural on our building in Philadelphia. Working with like inner city arts program in Philly to do that. So that's like a little kind of gift, if you will, that we're putting in for like the Germantown community. And the reason why we wanted to do a mural in particular was, dude, a ton of our fashion brands are in Philly. Like we're trying to support that local community, and those guys need a place to do rad outdoor lifestyle photography. And we're like, where should they do it? They should be doing it with us, right? So like that's why we put this like giant mural. It's going in right now, so we'll give you guys some pics when it's up. But yeah, like we want all of the brand partners to like use that as a huge backdrop to like do all this rad lifestyle photography. Like we have our other manufacturing facility in downtown Los Angeles, and if you guys haven't been to downtown LA, you guys, the like graffiti and the mural scene is like popping off there. It's next level rad. And so like we kind of have some of that culture over on the West Coast, and I mean clearly there's rad murals as well on the East Coast too. But like we wanted to like bring that element that we loved in Los Angeles, like our facility in Germantown and Philly. For empire building, just be like really clear about like why you want to build it big, and like is bigger always better. I'd really think about how like scaling up can help your customers, help your employees, and help your investors. Like it needs to check out and be good for those 3 Venn diagrams for you to like continue to invest your time, your resources, your money, and continue to scale the thing up. And then the next thing is like really, as you're scaling up, just try to figure out what's holding you back. And like find out what those log jams are, and think about a lot of your unit economics and like at the interaction level, like why did that person actually not buy? Like what was the real reason? Like get to the bottom of that root cause. Never stop thinking creatively about the products that you can offer. Like at Apliiq, we're all about creating like premium apparel products. Like we think that that's kind of the play with print on demand. It's super weird because like the print on demand space has this weird thing of like, not this weird thing, it's low margin. Like, oh, you can't make money on print on demand. There's no margins there, right? And like nothing could be further from the truth. Like we've set up all of our manufacturing at Apliiq based on like how boutiques do apparel. And there's a bunch of like branding strategies that you can use to increase the premium nature of your products and do it more cost effectively, right? So like there's like systems and approaches that have been in place in manufacturing forever. And like we didn't invent these things, we just brought them into doing it as on-demand manufacturing. And the reason why it's exciting to us is because we want the brands that we're working with to make more money and to make better products, right? So like who doesn't want better products and more profitable products, right? So like that's kind of what we're trying to bring to the table over at Apliiq. And I do think that that's like one of the keys to scale is like being able to like charge more for your products and like your offerings and prove it out that like it's better.
Guys, what Ian just covered is a masterclass on raising investment on its own. And I gotta say, it's one of the easiest and most simple explanation that exists on YouTube, so I had to include it in this video. And if you wanna learn more about what Ian does, I highly encourage that you check out Apliiq.com and also check out their YouTube channel that I linked in the description down below. They're all about paying it forward and educating brand owners on how to best maximize what they're doing. So I also encourage you to place some test orders to see how easy it is to make a custom brand from the ground up on demand. Now, one of the key things Ian mentioned was about pitching your brand. And this is one of those skills that you need to master as an entrepreneur if you're truly gonna build an empire. But even if you're not pitching it to raise an investment, you still have to pitch it to people on and offline to buy your products. And I couldn't think of a better person to help you craft your pitch than the man Medin Gebrezgier. Now, Medin is a good friend of mine. He's a business partner and a consultant to many brands in our community. And if you're a part of our community app, you get to witness how he brings clarity to people's lives in minutes. He's done this with numerous business over the years, and he has helped many brands win hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing pitch competitions. He helps craft those pitches and helps position those businesses to succeed. And honestly, guys, what he does is a God-given talent, so I asked him to share the secret sauce in a way that you can easily digest it and apply it to your own business. So get ready to take some notes.
Hey everyone, and you're thinking about creating an empire for $0. Remember one thing, value does not always equate to money. When you can properly communicate the value of what you have to offer, then you're able to create your pitch. 90% of the work happens to make a pitch before you open your mouth. The first step to creating a good pitch is to listen. Surprisingly, pitching is less about talking and more about listening. Create an environment which the people you're pitching to or the person feels invited, welcomed, and relaxed. If you listen long enough, your customer will tell you exactly what they want. Now you're in a position of power. See, because the better job you do of listening, then the easier it'll be to create a pitch that actually sells through. At this point, do me a favor. Put your journalist hat on. Start asking probing questions, follow-up questions. See where people are at. See, because as humans, we bond better with people who allow us to talk about ourselves, to expand our soul, feel heard. This sets the foundation for trust because it shows you care. And people don't care about what you know until they know you care. Now you can do the work of connecting your solution with their problem. Now, when you have their attention, remember, each second is precious. Bring energy, but not nervous, scattered energy. Channeled and confident energy is what you're looking for. The pitch happens in 3 acts. Remember this. It's just like going to a movie. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. The first part of the movie is your lead. Set the scene. Demonstrate that you have knowledge and awareness of the situation the person you're pitching to is in. Second is your hook. Propose a solution to the problem. A solution that lies in your product or service. And 3, close. Explain to people the value of your solution in terms of money or equal returns in goods and services. Take as little time as possible to give the lead, hook, and close on your pitch. Now, get the hell out of the way. Just like a matador and a bull, let their energy come to you. This is your chance to answer follow-up questions. Make any necessary accommodations to make them feel comfortable. Then close the deal. It's just that simple. And please remember this very important point. I've coached many people through selling their pitch. I've watched many people go into competitions. I myself have taken first place in many pitch competitions. And there's one thing that I always learned when doing business. Don't sell when it's sold. I know you might have something you want to share, some knowledge or research that you want to bring to the forefront. But don't think about it. It's not about you. Remember, it's about that person. If they said yes, don't waste any more of their time. It shows respect to them. And guess what? The more you talk at that point, all you can do is talk them out of the deal. So shut up and walk out and take your bag. Okay, remember something. You pitch every day when you tell people what movie they should see, what music they should listen to, what restaurant we should go eat at, what shirt to buy, which so on and so on and so forth. Stop acting like you don't know how to pitch. You do it all the time. What you need to do now is learn how to do that for your brand. Stop thinking about yourself and start thinking about the person you're pitching to, and you'll become successful. This is the way to do it. I've learned over the years, as I've gone into many business plan competitions and business pitch competitions. I've been on national TV with Steve Harvey on his Thunderdome show, and I'm pitching in front of 20,000, in front of hundreds of people in live set, and hundreds of thousands of millions of people over the TV. And I remember the nervousness I felt, the fear I felt before doing it. But if you focus on what you're selling and how good it is for that other person, you'll zone out. You'll forget about all the problems that you had. You'll forget about all of the issues that led up to this and how important it is to you, because you don't want to bring that energy to the other person. Remember, you're not bringing them your problems, you're bringing them a solution. You should have positivity, a clear mind, and something to offer. If you do this, people will accept you more than you think, and you'll find the right people to work with. And here's another thing to remember. Some will, some won't. So what? You're gonna have to do a lot of work, and it comes through repetitions, and you're gonna get told no more often than you're told yes. That's okay. It's completely normal and it's completely natural. All you wanna do is make sure that if you're told no, you find out why. What do you have that they're not interested in? Maybe your price is too high. Maybe your product doesn't match their needs, and so on and so forth. But if you listen, you'll find out. Always walk away with a yes or some knowledge. That way you never lose. You're always learning. And finally, remember, your product means the world to you. But trust me, it doesn't mean anything to the people you're pitching unless you make it mean something to them. Don't tie up your personal self-worth into your product. Absolutely a no-no. People will always reject you, and that's totally normal. That does not mean that you're a bad person. Stop thinking that. And it doesn't mean that your product isn't worth anything. Stop thinking that. You're just in front of the wrong people, maybe at the wrong time. But if you keep at it and you stay motivated and you stay focused on bringing your product to more and more people, sooner or later you'll find the right one that'll say yes. And trust me, just like anything else, when you get that one yes, it'll make the 1,000 no's worth it. Get out of your head. Work. Start creating a better and better pitch. Figure out what's wrong with your product and make it better. Constantly improve. People are watching you. And believe you me, the right ones will come to you. When you're pitching something to someone, think about it like that person could not care less about what you're saying. That means you have a window, a time frame of milliseconds to get across your point. So the preparation and the work that you put into your pitch before you ever set foot in front of the person you're pitching makes the world of a difference. You have to recognize that the more time you put into preparation, the more potent your pitch is going to be and the more effective it will be. But if you don't take that time and you just stumble into a pitch hoping that person will find you and accept you, guess what? You're setting yourself up for failure. Don't do that to yourself. Recognize that the time and effort and energy you put into your brand is seen by the world. And they know that if you took that time and you put all that effort into what you're creating, and you also put the same amount into the pitch that you're creating, it shows respect to the person you're pitching, because you're not wasting their time, because you can get all things back, money, etc. But guess what? You can't get your time back. And that's what the people who you're pitching to understand, because they are in a position where they've worked in their life to get to a certain place where they could be pitched to. That means that they understand what it looks like when someone's put in the time and they put in the effort. So they could smell it and sniff it out quickly. So if you're just faking the funk, hoping that you can get someone to buy into what you're doing, people will immediately tell. But if you did your homework, you learned, you found out what those people are asking for, you know what their pain points are, what's bothering them, how they can be helped, and how you can service them, now you're in business.
Like I mentioned, guys, Medin explains things so poetically, so I hope you were able to take the gems that he shared and you're ready to apply them to your sales pitch. And if you'd like to get some feedback from him, then join our free community that we linked in the description right down below. Through this app, we share articles, insights, live training, and educational modules for you to continue building your brand and be surrounded by others that are also on this journey. Because once you have the pitch, it's time to chase that cash. And on the case is the man Chase Chappell, who's gonna be showing you the foundational elements that every e-commerce store needs to have. And then he also shares the nuts and bolts on running your very first paid ad campaign and then scaling that paid ad campaign into millions of dollars. Now you may be wondering what Chase's background is. Well, he actually started at a fairly young age, and over the years he's built a clientele to include national chains, brands, and everything in between. He literally advises on over $200 million in ad spend throughout all his clients, and I challenge him to share the very best information that you can start applying right now. So let's jump into it.
I'm Chase Chappell, and I advise on over $200 million in TikTok and Facebook ad spend across their products. And we work with some of the largest creators and brands in the world that you definitely know and love. What are some of the things that the best performing e-com brands have that a lot of smaller brands don't? Number one is they focus on limited drops. It helps with building scarcity, selling out your inventory, and being able to allow you to predict future inventory levels whenever you're going to buy more. Number two is focusing on organic videos. This is where you actually pack an order. You actually show the process of how you put the product together, how you designed it, shipping it out to a customer. People love to see the homegrown videos and see what the process looks like because it gets brand buy-in and has more people come to your site to buy. Number three is retargeting your current customers. Most people don't go to a website and just buy one piece of clothing, they buy multiple. So it's always good to be able to retarget with paid ads and actually show people where they can buy more of your products, showcasing other designs that they might be interested in. Number four, having an email and SMS list. This is where you can actually send out blasts for new releases, new drops, announcing new designs that you have coming, or showcasing lifestyle videos of people actually wearing your product. This is a great way to get people back to your site without having to spend a single dollar on paid ads. It's a great way to increase sales, and releasing drops or coming out with special offers during holidays or special times can result in a big jump in sales. And number five, one of the easiest ways that you can scale your e-commerce clothing brand is by leveraging paid ads. I'm talking Facebook and TikTok ads. It's one of the easiest ways to get a return on your investment, and you can scale up to 100K, 200K, 300K months pretty quickly just by focusing on the right creatives, right audiences, and understanding what the people want. But first, we need to understand why some brands are massively successful and others fail to grow. The successful brands focus on getting a 3% plus Shopify conversion rate. They understand they need to do a lot of creative ad testing to be able to scale up their ads. And they release their designs to organic first to gauge the interest in their products before they move on to paid ads. And we're going to be diving into exactly what this means, so definitely make sure to stay around so that way you can see the full picture. And then the unsuccessful brands commit assume-a-side. They assume they have the price right. They assume they know the audience. They assume that their designs are going to sell, and they assume that their website is already perfect. Committing assume-a-side is the ultimate way to fail. Unsuccessful brands also don't use all available sales channels to their advantage. They forget to leverage Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and their email and SMS lists. This is where a bulk majority of customers come from, so you need to be on all of these placements, actually showcasing your products so people can find you. And finally, they outprice themselves. If you're going to demand luxury pricing, it does not mean just having a fancy logo. You need to go into the mission, the purpose, the story behind the actual brand, so that way you get buyers engaged. And one thing you need to know about the apparel e-com space is brands can scale really quickly when they do limited drops. This allows you to predict your inventory levels going forward and allows you to be able to actually scale up with paid Facebook and TikTok ads. And I'm going to be covering some of the strategies on how you can set up these ads to be able to leverage them in your business so that way you can see sales as well. So let's begin. As you build an e-commerce store, you're going to want to make sure that you have a good conversion rate. And to improve conversions, you're going to want to make sure to have the following in place. You're going to want to make sure you have fast shipping times because people expect their products very quickly in the modern world. You want to include clear product images so people can actually see the design, see it on models, see it on flat lays, what the product looks as it's just laying down. Having strong call to actions across your website directing people where to buy. Having banners and callouts mentioning your special offers, your limited quantity, the new drop you just released. Having the correct size chart so people know what size the model's wearing in the image, and not only that, but actually understanding how it's going to fit on them. Every design and shirt and hoodie is so different than the other, so you want to make sure people understand what the fit is going to be like. And this can help if you have reviews on your site. And finally, one of the biggest things that people miss is not having upsells or cross-sells. This is when somebody goes to check out and adds an item to cart, you offer them an additional item to check out with. Most people don't just buy one piece of apparel, they usually buy multiple. So you want to give them the opportunity to see your other designs and other pieces you have to offer. This can increase your average order value, help with additional sales, and allow you to scale up much quicker than you normally would be able to. And you're going to want to make sure you know your numbers. Having the right data in your business is imperative to understanding if you're profitable or not, calculating your break-even ROAS, knowing how much money you're making with your Facebook and TikTok ads, seeing if your online site conversion rate is going up. We're going to be talking about a tracking software that you can leverage with this as well, so definitely make sure to stay to the very end. So once you have these things in place, you are now ready to run paid ads. But before you start spending any money on ads, there are some things that you need to consider. So let me show you. The most popular channels to know are Meta and TikTok. And first, we're going to be covering TikTok because it's one of the fastest growing platforms out there and one of the quickest ways you can be discovered. The first part to this framework is understanding 3 different ad creative formats you can use with TikTok to be able to get sales. So let's dive in and dissect each and every one of these videos. The first format is a design-based video. This is where you're actually showcasing how you went through the process of designing your product.
Let's create a hoodie from start to finish. So my intention with creating apparel is to treat it like an extension of my artwork. So step 1, I find a song that I'm obsessed with and I create art about it. I like to make mixed media pieces that combine Photoshop and traditional art. Here is me with the final, and I'm using an LA Apparel mock-up, and with this you can change it to whatever color you want. So I took the text from the piece and then I split it up and put half of it on the front and half of it on the back. The back design is the centerpiece of the piece, which is my hands and a couple other objects. I wanted to go fairly simple with this design because that's what I prefer in a hoodie. Then I brought the first batch to the print shop in Brooklyn, and I got to see the screens and measure them up to see and test out some things before doing more. I love the look and quality of screen printing, and the back of my design has 6 screens. The final screen is in puff print, and the front of the hoodie is also in puff print. Like, look at that puff. Next was the most rewarding and fun part, which was the shoot. This is my best friend Grace. Also, shout out to Yana, the photographer. And then I just took the product shots at home for the website. Here are some fun little ads and photos from the shoot, and then my product shots. I feel like they turned out pretty good. I've never done them before. Oh, and a little homepage animation that I created. I had a pre-release event in Manhattan for just like the new collection and my art and everything, and I ended up selling out the hoodies in less than a day. So, however, I just opened a pre-order. They're available for a limited time, and if you like it, thank you so much for all your support.
So this is great because this video is very engaging, and these types of videos get lots of sales with ads, and that's because she's actually going through the process, showing how she designed the actual product that she's selling. She gives a purpose behind it, how she has her creative flow going. Not only that, but she narrates the entire video, showing multiple different formats and clips throughout, which helps retain people throughout the video, and then more people actually feel more connected because of this, allowing them to discover the brand, go to her actual TikTok page, and maybe click on the website to purchase. And even at the end of the video, what you'll really notice is she shows the orders, shows how many people are buying them, and then directs you with a call to action on where you can purchase them as well. So people will see this and are more inclined to actually go buy. And it's great because we can leverage this in a paid ad to be able to increase your sales with TikTok. The second creative we're going to be covering is a pack and order with me. These are very simple videos. All it is just showing you packing an order from one of your customers.
You got Swordfish Stein in moss, UFO Party in dusty blue, Skull Reef, No Bad Vibes, and a pair of black shorts. I did free Pirate Pack.
Very simple video, but a lot happens here in 11 seconds. Although it's short, it covers a lot of information. It shows multiple different designs. You'll also notice that he replied to a comment. This helps boost your engagement because now somebody else is asking them to pack an order because they bought on the website, giving credibility. And also shows that people are actually buying from them. And then because of this, they're able to showcase all of the items that they ordered, allowing them to have new people find out what designs they have available, and he even calls out that this is free shipping when he's sending them this order. And because of this, people are going to see the offer and want to buy too. And the third creative format is one that all of you can make. It's a simple flat lay shot. We don't show any models because we want people to be able to focus purely on the design itself. This allows people to not only imagine it on themselves, but see exactly what you have to offer. It's not a big production value video. It's a simple, quick phone shot where you're just showing your products on a simple flat lay. Although this video seems simple in nature, there's still a lot going on here. We have a music overlay where each clip is moving at the sound of the beat in the music itself. This helps keep people engaged even further. And the camera is always moving at the same time, so that way people can see multiple different designs. And they're also laying down each design on top of the other, so that way you can see the different color waves available. So people might be more interested in black, blue, red, but showcasing all of these different styles can get a broader audience to purchase from you. And an additional format creative that we can use as well is combining lifestyle alongside the design itself. This is where you're showcasing it on a model and featuring it in a lifestyle setting, and then also just showing the design up front so that way people can see both sides of this. These style of videos are on trend because they leverage music that keeps people engaged. Each clip moves at the beat of the sound, and not only that, but we're showcasing the product in a full visual. They're seeing it, how it's worn, what it looks like, and the design itself up close and all around. These videos are really good, especially when paired with the pricing. If you have a special offer, having a text overlay throughout this video can allow people to know that it's for sale, and then they can see your pricing and be able to go directly to the website to purchase. Now we're going to build out the TikTok campaign, audiences, and ads together. But before we do that, be sure to redeem the special offer link below so that way you can get started with TikTok ads. So now we're in our TikTok ads manager where we're going to set up our campaign, audience, ads, and tracking. The first step is clicking the create button. And we're going to select website conversions. This is where we actually send people to the website to purchase. We don't want to select traffic because all we'll get is traffic. You get what you ask for with TikTok, so we want to ask for purchases. We'll go ahead and name this interest testing. This essentially is going to be our testing audience where we can see if we're going to get conversions or not. And then we'll go ahead and select our pixel, which is how we're going to track if we're getting orders on our website. We'll select complete payment. And then we're going to select placements and only choose TikTok because we want our videos to show strictly there. We're then going to leave user comments on because this can be a great way for people to ask questions and us answer any objections they have, which can result in more people actually purchasing. Then we get down to our audience location, and we'll go ahead and select the location that you're going to be selling in. We're going to use United States, for example. And then this is where you can select your age range. In our case, this clothing is going to be for anybody 18 plus, so that is what we'll select. And then we can get into the actual audiences themselves. And the first audience we're going to create is searching up multiple different categories around our product specifically. And in this case, it's streetwear / fashion wear. So we're going to go ahead and search streetwear. And as you can see, there's a few audiences that popped up in the streetwear space. And we can go ahead and select these because people are already watching videos and interacting with this content. So we know that there is some level of interest there, which can result in more people wanting to buy from us directly. And our audience is currently narrow, so we want to get it to be a little bit more broad so we have enough people here for when we scale our ads. If we're getting lots of sales, we want to scale up. So let's go ahead and search for some more categories. And we'll go ahead and select a few options here. And now that our audience size is a little bit bigger, we can go ahead and name our audience streetwear. And then we can continue to scroll back down to our daily budget. Now, you can start with a $10 daily budget at the beginning or a $20 daily budget. We're going to go ahead and use 20. And once we start to see some orders and sales, we can start to scale up from there. For our optimization goal, we're going to select conversions because that's exactly what we want. We want people to convert into a purchase. Then we'll go ahead and select next. And this is where we're now going to build out our first ad. And you'll go ahead and select the TikTok account that you're going to be using, and you'll upload the video as well, based off of the creative examples and formats that we just covered. Now that we've uploaded our video, we can now enter in some text. And now what a lot of people get wrong with their ad copy and text is they're way too descriptive and they put too much information there. TikTok is a fast scrolling platform and we want to keep it short and concise. And a lot of times people don't even realize that these videos are actual ads to get people to go to a website and purchase. So we want to make sure to include our offer here, whether it's free shipping, a discount, or a special call out. So that way they can immediately take notice that this is an offer for them to buy, and that way it frames them in the mindset to purchase later on. So we're going to go ahead and say free shipping plus 10% off. Now you might not have a discount, or you might only offer free shipping. That's totally fine. Just put free shipping on all orders. And then for our call to action, we're going to go ahead and be more specific here. Rather than using something like learn more, we want to go ahead and use shop now because we're not really looking for people to learn, we're looking for people to buy. And now that we've selected shop now, we have a few options. We could send them to the collection page and let them look at multiple designs and see which ones they might want to add to cart, which usually is a little bit lower of a conversion rate but might increase AOVs. But in our case, we really want to direct them to the product landing page where they can see the exact design that we're showing in the video. So that way people land on the landing page, see the add to cart button, and can check out immediately, resulting in an ROI for us with our TikTok ads. So we'll go ahead and paste the website right here. And once we pasted our URL, we have our first ad ready, but there's one final step, and that's adding tracking parameters so that way we can ensure that we get the most accurate data possible. Now when it comes to tracking, we want to make sure we have the most accurate analytics possible with our ads, because after the recent iOS changes, TikTok, Facebook, Google have made it a whole lot harder for us to calculate the exact ROI we're making back. So we like to use a software called Surge, where you can actually sign up below this video by clicking the link, and you can get 2 months free on this software where we can integrate and track back exactly how much you're making with your TikTok, Facebook, and Google ads. So that way we know when to optimize and scale up. So once you've clicked the link below this video, we can now install the Surge Shopify app for tracking. So we'll simply hit install, and then we'll select install app on Shopify. And then we'll go ahead and create our account here. And once we create our account, you can now apply the 2-month free coupon code by using this keyword right here. You'll simply paste that and hit apply, and then you can hit start free trial to redeem that. And in order to finalize this, you just simply add in the billing details to approve it, and then you select approve. Once approved, we now have our Shopify store integrated. We can simply name our store after our business, and then we can select continue. And this is where we're going to integrate all of our ad accounts so that way we can track our ads more accurately and be able to scale up with our results. So we'll select connect on each Facebook, TikTok, and Google. And once connected, we can then go to the next step. We'll be able to now select our store, and all of our Shopify data will now be imported. And in order to start tracking our ads, we're going to want to make sure to apply the tracking parameter script. So we'll simply go to our settings, we'll go to connections, and then we'll select manual, go ahead and choose TikTok and copy this tracking script. And then we'll go back to our TikTok ads and paste this at the very end of our URL. And we'll want to make sure to do this for every ad we create, so that way we can track with certainty where our purchases are coming from. Once we place the tracking parameter, we can now go ahead and add in our other 2 ads based off of those examples that we referred to earlier. Once you've done that and filled in the rest of the details based on everything that we've covered, you can go ahead and hit submit, and you now will have your first live TikTok ad campaign. And now that we've created our first TikTok ad campaign, I always recommend having multiple audiences when testing, just like we have multiple ads in our audience for testing as well. So to do that, we'll simply go to the ad group, and based off of the audience we just created, we'll go ahead and duplicate it and come up with a few other audience ideas in your space. I recommend 2 to 3 audiences for testing, so that way we can identify which ones are working best and later optimize inside of Surge. So once your ad campaigns have been live for a few days or even weeks, you're now going to have some data where you can start to make educated decisions around what to increase in budget, whether or not to turn off an ad if it's not working, or if an audience is performing better than the other, and should you move budget to that audience and should you turn the other one off? These are all valid questions that'll come up, and we're gonna give you some tips on ways that you can strategize to be able to get better results with your TikTok ads. So initially, once data starts populating in your TikTok Ads Manager, you might see something very similar to this, where you're able to see what your average cost per click is. I always recommend shooting for a cost per click under $1. And then your CPMs, where we recommend staying under around $10. And then we have our impressions, our click-through rates, and then our conversions, which is what truly matters in being able to know whether or not we're getting sales. And depending on what your items cost, your return on ad spend is going to vary, and depending on the ad creatives that you use. And in our case, we can see what the return on ad spend is inside of TikTok and be able to see this data. And if something is getting a higher return on ad spend, say a 10x return on ad spend, and we have another audience only getting, say, a 3x or 5x return on ad spend, well, we might want to move the budget towards the higher return on ad spend audience because it's making us more money. We're getting a 10x return on our investment. So it's always good to be adjusting your budgets or turning off ads that maybe spent a few $100s and didn't get any sales at all. We only want to run ads that are converting and getting a healthy return on ad spend. And since you've integrated TikTok with Surge, you can then go into your Surge performance dashboard and select TikTok and be able to see a side-by-side comparison of what TikTok is reporting versus what Surge is reporting. And because TikTok can't fully track every single person who buys, it's important to look at these metrics and know exactly where you need to decrease or increase your spend. So although you have some insights in your ads manager, it's always good to have an additional tool in your arsenal to be able to know exactly with precise decision making which audience you want to scale and which ads you need to turn off. Because you can clearly see here with TikTok's data, it's showing we've only made this return on ad spend and only made this much money back with one of our ads, whereas we've actually made 3 times that amount in return. But without having this tracking, we would have never known. So be sure to check this daily so that way you can optimize and scale up your campaigns. And because TikTok is a trend-setting platform, once we've identified which ad creatives are performing best on TikTok, I always recommend to take those videos and move them over to Meta, where you can then run Facebook and Instagram ads and increase your performance even further and gain more scale. And with Meta, I've gone ahead and identified 3 creative formats that you can leverage as well. And these are going to be images that you can create very simply in Canva. So let's go ahead and look at the first format. And the first creative image format that we're going to be covering is a flat lay. This is where you simply lay your product down on a flat background, and you can have multiple different services behind the product. And this is simply where you showcase your design in multiple different formats. And a flat lay is one of the easiest ad creatives to put together. The second creative format is a review-based ad. This is where you pair a review in your ad copy alongside the image. This gives credibility and allows people to see the perspective of your customer, so that way they can gain trust and liking towards your brand and decide whether or not they want to purchase as well. And the third creative format is a variant style ad. This is where you can show multiple different variations of your product in different colors. You can list out the features, the benefits, and the different designs that you offer. This is a great way to highlight your product in a professional and branded setting, so that way people can see exactly which option they want to buy. And now that we've covered the creative formats that you need with Facebook ads, we're gonna go ahead and set up the campaigns, audiences, and ads together, so that way you know exactly how to structure them for testing, optimization, and scale. So now we are in our TikTok Ads Manager, and we can go ahead and create our first campaign. So we'll simply hit create, and we're gonna be optimizing for sales, so we'll go ahead and select this option. And we'll name our campaign broad, because our first audience is going to be a broad audience, and that's because we want to allow Facebook to optimize for us to be able to see where we can get orders. And this is the first audience of many that we will create. We'll go ahead and hit continue, and we'll choose a manual sales campaign because we're going to be setting up an advanced strategy so that way we can get the most orders possible. So we'll select manual. And then we'll go ahead and hit next. And then we'll choose website, and we're gonna maximize the number of conversions, and we'll go ahead and choose our pixel and choose purchases, because that's what we wanna optimize for. We'll then set our budget to $5 daily. This is a safe and healthy budget to initially start with, and that way we can see if our ads are working before we spend any more money on them. This lowers our risk and gives us more chances to be able to identify if we're going to be profitable. That way we can make the most money in the beginning. And once we've set our budget, we'll simply leave our location at United States in this case. We're going to leave the audience targeting broad, and we'll go ahead and choose all placements because we want our ads to show up in the most places possible. That way we can get in front of a lot more people so they can discover our brand and go to our website to check out. And then we'll select our Facebook page, and we can now create our ad, and we'll choose manual upload and single image. Then we can turn on the preview so that way we can see what it looks like, and we'll choose an image now. We want to make sure to choose original on all of these. I always recommend a 1080 by 1080 image because it shows up in the most placements possible. Then we can select next, and we can leave some of these settings turned on and hit done. Now that our image is here, we're going to want to make sure to leave multi-advertiser ads turned on because it's going to show our apparel next to other brands. When people are already shopping for another piece of clothing, they'll be able to see our ad alongside somebody else's, and that can give us the opportunity to steal that traffic and gain a new customer. And with our primary text, we can call out if this is a new drop. And I've gone ahead and added in some primary text where we're simply calling out that this is a new and limited collection on our hoodies and sweats. And then we have a call out mentioning free shipping on orders over 50 plus. That way people have to spend a certain threshold and we can increase our AOVs and then deliver the product to them on free shipping. And then we'll want to add a headline. And I always recommend adding the headline of the actual product itself. So go ahead and just choose the name of your product and type that in here. That way people know immediately what it is that you're offering. And then always make sure to include a description because most people are lazy and miss out on this opportunity. And it's a good way for you to get some more callouts in there over your competitors, allowing you to get more sales than them. So we'll go ahead and reiterate our free shipping here as well. And then we'll change the Learn More call to action to Shop Now. And we have our first ad already designed and ready to go. All we need to do now is add in our website, and this is going to be our product landing page for this exact hoodie and sweat bundle. And then we're going to go ahead and integrate our tracking like we did on TikTok with Surge. We'll do the same thing with Surge and Facebook here. Now we can go back into Surge, select settings, scroll down to the ad tracking, choose manual, and then we can copy the Facebook parameters for tracking. And then we'll go ahead and scroll down to the bottom on Facebook and place this in the URL parameter section. This will automatically import the data into Surge, so that way we can compare Facebook's purchases against what Surge is tracking to monitor our analytics and ensure we're able to optimize efficiently. Once we've created our ad, you can go ahead and select these 3 dots and choose Quickly Duplicate. And this is where you can then add in the video, change up the ad copy. I always recommend changing out each creative with a different set of copy and headlines. This is going to add multiple variations into your creative mix and allow you to find out which copy and creative is going to convert best, increasing your odds of finding buyers and limiting your risk from only having one option available. So go ahead and hit Quickly Duplicate. You'll add in some of the videos that we referred to earlier from TikTok onto Facebook, and then you'll add in a couple of those images that we discussed as well for Facebook ads. In total, you'll probably have anywhere between 3 to 6 ads actively running in this campaign. So go ahead and build those out now. And once you've built out those ad creatives, you'll have the multiple ads ready to go. And all we do is hit review and publish. And now your Facebook ad campaign is live. But we're not done yet because we want to test a couple more audiences to identify which audience is going to perform best. So we'll go back to the ad set level and we'll select Duplicate and we'll choose Original Campaign. And I recommend at least 5 interest audiences so that way we can see which one is going to get the most results for us. To do this, we'll scroll down to the audience section and we'll choose Switch to Original. And then we'll go ahead and search up some interest. And in this case, we'll do streetwear. We'll copy the name of this and we'll paste it at the top. And now we have a second audience very quickly. We don't have to recreate everything. It's just a simple duplicate. And we'll do this a couple more times. And we'll just choose one interest in each. That way we know which one is performing best. And the reason we do this on Facebook is because these audiences are already large enough for us to target, so we don't have to select a bunch of them and combine them all together. And then we can choose street fashion as the next one. And whatever space you're in with your clothing designs, you can find different brands, different competitors, different categories to target. And we'll just repeat this process all the way until we have 5 different audiences for testing at $5 each. Once you've created multiple interest audiences, you can go ahead and hit review and publish. And now all of your campaigns are active and we can go through the testing phase. So now that you have your testing campaign set up, it's important to know there are 4 campaign types that generate great results. The first campaign was our testing. The second campaign type is going to be our retargeting. This is where you actually retarget your current customers and retarget people who might have added to cart, visited your website, engaged with your ads. This is how you bring people back in to your website to purchase. So when you have people who visit and drop off, it's a great way to bring them back for them to buy. The third campaign type is your lookalike campaign structure. This is where you create an audience of people who are similar, aka lookalike those who purchased from you before. So if we've had a few hundred purchases on our site, we could upload a list of those customers to Facebook and create a lookalike and find people who are similar to those exact people who've already bought from us, thus leading to more qualified individuals and buyers visiting our page to buy. And the fourth one is the initial audience, and that's a broad audience where you leave your targeting wide open, and typically this campaign will eventually perform much better a few weeks down the line once you have data. And the reason for this is because it's going to be learning and seeing other purchases coming through on other campaigns, and eventually this audience will actually become one of your best audiences out there. And what you'll see once we start to really scale up is our audiences will continue to get broader so that way we can handle further scale. And once we have some data in our ad account from us running this for a few days or even a week maybe, we'll be able to see how many purchases we've received. And we'll see this under the results column, and then we'll be able to see our cost per result and some of the reach and impressions overall. And once again, a key important metric to pay attention to is your return on ad spend, because you want to know how much you're spending and how much you're getting back. That way we can optimize and move our budget towards what's working and what's not. So let's go ahead and hop into Surge to look at some of this data. So here we are in the Surge Performance Dashboard, and we can see what we've been tracking with Surge. And all we got to do is select Facebook generated data. And as you can see, Facebook only picked up 367 purchases. Sometimes Facebook underreports or overreports. So we want to be able to compare this data to see exactly how we're performing. And as you can see, based off of these numbers, we can see exactly what our return on ad spend is. Facebook says we made a 1.3x, but in reality, we made a 2.1. So based off of this information, we're actually losing money on this specific campaign here on our retargeting. So we might want to actually scale back by reducing spend here and then moving that budget into an audience that is performing. And just based off of this data, it looks like our lookalikes are doing very well. So we'd probably take this budget and move it over. And this is how we optimize. We want to be moving budget away from what's underperforming and moving it into what is performing based off of these numbers. And then as we drill down into the ad set level and see which audiences are working, we can identify if there's some that actually just need to be turned off altogether. And here we are, some of these are unprofitable. So in this case, I'd turn off this audience here. And we really want to turn off anything that's not producing good sales volume, not profitable. So we would go ahead and deactivate this specific audience. And we can simply turn it off. And you'll go through this process each day, and week over week, eventually you'll start to see not only your purchases increase, your spend starting to scale, but your actual cost per purchase is going down and your return on investment is going up and you're making more money each month. This is where e-commerce brands are really able to go from the 0 to 10K mark and then scale up and make those jumps from 10 to 20, 50K, 100K months. This is where the players start to actually see where the winners and losers are coming out, because it all comes down to understanding how well you can optimize your performance and scale up. Now, we've covered a lot of really good information today, but you might be wondering which platform is best to start out on. Is it TikTok or is it Facebook? And what it really comes down to is understanding which creative formats you can really go into. If you're really good at creating content with videos and can edit videos like the ones we've covered today, then TikTok can be a great place to start, because once you see results and purchases happening with TikTok ads, you can take those videos and migrate them over to Facebook and start seeing incredible performance with your campaigns and have two platforms running and scaling at the same time. Now, if videos are a little bit harder for you to put together, then I highly recommend with starting on Facebook, because you can have a budget of only $5 daily and images can be put together in Canva and you can just take them on your phone and upload. So now the ball is in your court, and as a small apparel brand, we've given you all of the tools available to be able to start seeing those first few sales come in and be able to hit a 10K, 20K, 30K month. And everything here is a process. You have to put in the steps and go through the effort day in and day out to be able to see the results. So what you've learned today and what you will get out tomorrow all comes down to the action you're going to take from this video. So definitely make sure to play this back, take the notes, and implement the steps so that way you can start to see the same success. And if you want to learn more in-depth advanced strategies around Facebook or TikTok ads and get into the detailed performance and analytics behind everything, feel free to visit my YouTube channel at Chase Chappell, and I will see you there.
Wow. Now look, I know this may have seemed like a lot to take in at once, but trust me when I say that you need to save this video and come back to this part when you're ready to start running paid ads. Now, I first met Chase a few months ago at a YouTube event, and after seeing his work, I knew he was legit. Now, he's a personal mentor of mine, and he's getting us into the advertising game, and I actually challenged him to condense all of the hours of educations and consulting calls into a very short video tutorial that you can implement immediately. And that's what he just delivered on. Because honestly, guys, oftentimes we really complicate things in our mind, but when I say that you should start with the foundation, just implement these foundational steps. They're literally the one consistency I've seen across hours of content of advertising on YouTube. And it was really hard to create something this simple, so please reference back to it when you're ready and share it with somebody that may need to learn about it. And most importantly, don't forget that nothing's built in a day. And like Chase mentioned, we included a bunch of links in the description right down below for you to start with free trials to the programs that he used as well as credits for advertising. Guys, if you're watching this video in 2024, we have an exclusive offer in partnership with TikTok, and they don't offer this to anyone else, where they're actually gonna be matching the money that you spend with them dollar for dollar. So let's say, for example, you're ready to spend $100. Well, you get an extra 100 added on top of that from TikTok. If you want to spend 1,000, they give you another 1,000 after you spend it. Now, this is an incredible deal that's only available for a limited time, so make sure you take advantage of it by signing up to the exclusive link that we have down below. Like I mentioned, it'd be very hard to find this anywhere else, so take advantage of the free money that's on the table. Now, as a side note, after we got done filming this, I was actually blown away to learn that Chase is only 24 years old. Seems a lot more wiser than that, and he is. And what's really cool is that he started with by running ads for a luxury pool company when he was just in high school. And after that account, he saw success with it, and now he's servicing brands that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars in advertising. So he's super passionate about what he does, and it definitely translates into how he teaches and what he shares. So if you want to learn more about him, I encourage that you hit the subscribe button to his YouTube channel that I'll link down below, and I'll also link a favorite video that I have on his channel in the cards right up above. Now, Chase showed us the power of running ads on social media, and earlier in the video, I mentioned the importance of having your own sales list that you can contact to sell products to, because you need to be able to convert your social media traffic into a sales list that you can follow up with. So in this part of the video, I want to actually dive into email marketing and give you the tools and tips that you need to quickly start capturing leads from all the traffic that you're going to be sending to your website. And if you're watching this video right now saying, man, email marketing, John, that's for old people. Who has an email? Well, I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. Because according to a recent study published by Market.us, they actually mentioned that there's going to be 4.6 billion email users by 2025. By comparison, right now there's 4.8 billion people with social media. But what do they need to access social media, guys? What do you need to have an online identity? You need an email, and you need to be able to use it daily, or at least check into it daily. And with email apps now pre-installed onto your phones, you're able to receive notifications, and as a brand, you're able to send notifications directly to potential customers to remind them to either complete a purchase, you could promote a sale, or just remain in touch. But in order to do this right, you can't think of email marketing like just spamming people, because we've all been spammed before and it sucks. Don't think of it like that. Because when you start thinking about email marketing as a fan club for your brand, you'll start to come up with ideas that relate directly to your customer, which will help you close sales naturally. So as a brand owner, the very first thing that you need to do is build a quality email list. Now, this email list is somebody that's interested in purchasing your products. This is why purchasing email lists don't work. Then you want to segment your list, which simply means, guys, that you're categorizing that list based on actions they took on your site or the interest that they showed for your offers. And by doing this correctly, it'll help you create email content that they want to open, that they want to read, and that they want to click on. And by personalizing it to your audience, you're also able to create a relationship between your brand and that customer, making them essentially want to open up more emails and buy more products. Now, the things I just listed are the foundation of email marketing. And like running ads, it can be a little intimidating, but the difference between email marketing and paid ads is that it's for the most part free to get started. So now that you know how email marketing works, the very first thing you need to do is choose an email marketing platform. Now, if your website is on Shopify, Shopify actually offers a very free, easy to use email marketing tool. You guys can literally pull it up and get started for free, which is really cool. It's pretty basic to start, but at the very minimum, you're doing something. And remember what I said, it's all about taking the next best step. But once you start building a list, I highly encourage that you choose an email platform that'll allow you to segment properly and start sending good campaigns. Now, there's a lot of email platforms out there, and all of them really offer a similar service. The main difference that you'll see across all the email platforms out there is really price and features that they give you. And oftentimes, the more features an email platform gives you, can you guess what happens? The higher the monthly it costs to have an account with them. But for the most part, all email platforms are designed to do the same thing. They help you create emails and send them to your leads. Which is why when GetSiteControl reached out to us and asked to sponsor a video, I was actually very intrigued with them because I had heard of them through Popup Forms. And the reason that I heard of them through Popup Forms is because I was doing research into what can be timed and what can be action-based Popup Forms instead of just a regular Popup Form that comes up on screen. Now, I'll share why the power of a Popup Form is important in just a minute. But because GetSiteControl also integrates with Shopify, they're able to not just help you capture leads, but now they can also start helping you drive sales through email campaigns. Because with their new email feature, you can now take leads to market to them on the same platform. So let's dive into a quick tutorial to show you how to create lead captures and start sending out email campaigns. To get started, GetSiteControl is available on Shopify. It's an app that you can download directly from the App Store. Now to search for it, you're gonna go to search GetSiteControl. And then what you're gonna see is two results that pop up. They have a couple of different things that they work on, but definitely choose the email marketing and pop-ups. It's all in one, it's all created now. They only have one dashboard. You can control both things with one, which is awesome. They do charge a monthly fee. Now the main difference between what GetSiteControl is and the other competitors is that they're charging you a monthly fee to just have the account, but then they don't charge you to host emails. Now that's the biggest difference between everybody in the game, is that there is a lot of cost to host emails. They don't charge you to host them, but they do charge you to send emails, which you're gonna see in a second of what that means. Now, once you install it to your Shopify plan, it's actually gonna bring you up to a dashboard that asks you to select your plan. Now, to get started, guys, you can start with as little as $7 a month with the creator plan. And once you're ready to add some automations and real deep dive into store integrations, you can select the Pro. And you can even go month to month, so you don't have to pay all of it up front. In this example, I'm just gonna choose the yearly plan to just have all the features available. And then once you're in there, it's gonna ask you for essentially emails that you wanna buy up front. Again, I mentioned that they don't charge you to host emails, but they just charge you to send. This example, 10,000 emails would cost you $15, which is roughly, if my math is good, it's almost like a penny, about a cent per send, something like that. And with this discount anyways, this is a great discount. You should preload it if you know you're gonna be sending emails. Once you approve your purchase, it'll take you to this dashboard. And in this dashboard, you can see exactly what your current plan is what your current plan is. You can upgrade, you can do all those good stuff. And they even have video resources there, which I highly encourage that you check out if this is the first time that you're getting started. I'll walk you through the most basic stuff, but there's a little bit of the nitty-gritty that you may have questions about, and they do a great job in showing it to you in these guides. Now, once you're happy with your setup, it's now time to start creating our first pop-up form. Pop-up forms is how you're gonna capture the traffic and convert them into leads. So they call it widgets. Now the widgets are their pop-up forms, and it's essentially a program that they started with before, and now they rolled into their email marketing. So we're gonna create our widget to start. Now, once you click on the widget, what you're gonna see here is you can start it from scratch, or you can have a pre-made widget. And the widget that I would recommend is the one that you like the most. Now, when it comes to starting a brand, it's all about at least getting your foot in the door. Don't overthink it. Don't take so long to do this, because every time you got a visitor coming into your site, if you're not capturing them, you're losing a potential future customer. So embed whichever form, choose whichever form kind of you vibe with for now. You can fully customize it, so you can actually change out the images. It's cool because it actually auto-populates the images that you have on Shopify, so you can start importing some of your product images, as well as anything else that you've uploaded to Shopify with. Now that is a pretty cool part about the integration with Shopify, is that they make it easier for you to start building out your email campaigns with images that you already have on your store. Now, you can change heights of things, you could change banner details. There's a lot of little like it's super customizable here. And what's important about that is that you can match it to your brand colors and to your brand likings. Now you can request an email, name, or just an email, or all three of the above: phone number, email, and name. We're gonna do all three, so you can get into some SMS texting in the future. And then you can fully customize the buttons so they know exactly what color they're gonna turn. And once you're done with the design and you're happy with it, next comes the targeting. Now the targeting with the form means, when does it pop up? At what point does a customer or somebody that's browsing your site see it? So in this one, we're gonna essentially include everybody that's a new visitor. So we're gonna do some targeting, but you can see that they actually have a lot of different options here for you. You can do it based on the price that they have, the product they're looking at, the device they're in, and even the city. And the reason why this is important here is, as you start to scale your brand, the important thing is about segmenting your audience. We're talking about that, and this is exactly what it means. You need to be able to segment your audience with offers that are exactly where they're at right now. So let's say you're gonna have an event in a certain city and you wanna run a promotion and you want people to purchase so then they can come pick up at this event. You can actually target a pop-up that whenever anybody's in that city, they're gonna see that promotion and they're gonna wanna take advantage of it and then see you at your event. Now this is a way that you start to, by segmenting, you're able to start building a deeper relationship with your customer. And you can do that through the pop-up forms. And as you can see in just a minute, you can also do that through your emails. Once you have all these settings, whether it's displaying the widget automatically, on a timed, if they have something in their cart, you can fully customize this to your liking. And once you're happy with it, you can essentially just save it and close it. And now your pop-up is working on your site. And that's the cool part about this, is starting with a form that you can fully customize in order to capture the lead exactly where they're at. The reason why this is so powerful, guys, is also because if somebody's checking out and maybe they have a certain cart value and they're hesitant about it, you can hit them with a certain offer like get free shipping right now, exclusive to you, right? So it doesn't have to be something that you promote on your site, but it could be for certain customers with certain products. So this definitely gives you the power to scale your e-commerce brand. And once you have your forms, it's time to start sending some broadcasts. And broadcasts are essentially newsletters here. And again, you could choose to fully customize it from scratch if you're one of those designers or working with a designer. And you can also create some pre-made templates. We're gonna go with the pre-made templates only because, guys, it's all about getting started and making sure that you put something out versus holding it in design phase forever. It's okay to try to be a little perfectionist, but you can't be too much of a perfectionist. Now, once you're here, you can essentially choose something that vibes with the brand aesthetic. So in this example that we're running on this test store, it's gonna be the Allbirds really kind of vibed with what we already had going on. And what's cool is that you could change up fonts. You could do everything that you need to fully make this template your own. And then you can save it as a template. So in the future, you can actually just tailor it again because you put all that work into the fonts and placements and all that good stuff. So right now we're just gonna customize this. So as you can see, we can customize the fonts. We can upload our own logos. And by doing that, you're able to format your logo however you want and then change it with the slider there. Once you know, okay, cool, I got a good header, now you can start to customize the header links to send them to specific collections. So if you want them to go to the collection that you're promoting, they can land it on that page there. And essentially you can fully customize your newsletter here. When it comes to imagery and email campaigns, guys, I highly encourage that you think about the formatting of the photos that you're gonna take for your promotions. What this means is you should always think about a square format when it comes to creating imagery. All right, so even though you might be taking a vertical picture like this, think about what elements are gonna live in the center and then try to take photos that you can multi-use. Now, when it comes to your phone, you can simply turn on the Apple grid. And in that Apple grid, it'll kind of give you boxes. So if you just kind of center it and you keep your shot centered, it'll work across a lot of different email campaigns, stories, reels. You can get a lot of multi-use if you use those grids on your phone. Now, you'll see the importance when it comes to email campaign, because as we drop some here, you'll see that, hey, we kind of formatted it more for vertical. Luckily, this email template works for vertical. Some email templates will be more for horizontal. So you do have to take some photos. You have to think about the photos that you're going to take for your website, which includes horizontal as well as verticals, and formatted for square whenever it's needed. Now, once you have those images uploaded, you can start to essentially customize your pre-header image. This is important because sometimes people are just browsing the inbox, and you want them to see a message before they open it to entice them. And once you have all those details, you can actually send a test email. I highly encourage that you send a test email so you can see exactly what your customer is going to receive before they receive it. So what I would do is actually just send it to yourself, look at it in your inbox on your phone, and then look at it on your desktop. And once you're happy with it, you can actually come into the recipients that you want to send to. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you can segment it based on, hey, they opened a previous campaign, or they clicked on a previous email, or they're new to the account, or they were looking at a certain product. There's all kinds of things that you can do with this. It's incredible. So if they just purchased something, you can send them a follow-up email on the purchase that they made to support them in wanting to purchase more. This is what we talk about when we say email segmenting, is because it's not just about sending a broadcast to everybody. It's always about how do you get the most value from your customer, and how do they get the most value from you? It's about being able to personalize those messages. So in this example here, you start with 1,000 free credits. So if you had, I had 225 emails in there. So if I were to send it to everybody, it would eat up 225 of those credits. So that's how the credits work. But when you start to segment, the credits don't necessarily eat up as much, because even if you only had 100 customers that bought, you're sending to customers that are already loyal to you. So chances are they're gonna be buying at a higher rate than if you just send it to 10,000 people that signed up and don't necessarily know if they wanna buy from you yet. Email marketing is about getting the highest return on your investment. How can you spend $10 to make 1,000? That's the power that email marketing has. Because when it comes to social media marketing and advertising, you're not gonna get those types of returns. Email marketing gives you the power to have those returns. Now, that's how you send a broadcast, that's essentially how you're gonna be sending an email to people. But what if you wanna do it with automations? Now let's dive into that real quick. Automations are essentially, they're running on autopilot. So think about automations like whenever somebody signs up to the form, they're getting a certain drip, and now if they click on something, it sends them another drip, right? So it's almost like exactly what you're doing manually, you're now gonna program into an automatic system. And the way automations work is you can automate based on a new contact being created, so as soon as they sign up, and then afterwards you can create a sequence. So you wanna have an automation whenever a contact is created, and then you can tag certain emails that they're gonna receive after they join your list, or after they click on something specific. So there's all kinds of different conditions that they can meet. And the beauty about this, again, guys, is segmentation is key with automation. And then the messaging that you have with those emails need to be targeted to the segmented list you're creating. That's how you go deep with a relationship with email marketing. So in this example, we're gonna, as a new contact is created, we're gonna give them a new product tag interest, and we're gonna send them an email offer, right? So we're gonna just create a quick sequence here. So when you create a new automation, you have the opportunity to create a new automation when a contact is created. But then you also have the ability to create an automation when somebody clicks on something. And then when you have the ability to create a sequence automation, which essentially means if they do this, then this happens. Super powerful stuff, really, really high level, but I highly encourage that if you're growing a brand, you definitely look into these options. So in this example that we're quickly gonna go over, we're gonna create a very quick sequence. And the sequence is essentially after they sign up to the new offer, after they sign up to our emails for a discount, we're gonna send them a discount email, and then afterwards we're gonna wait a day, then we're gonna send them another email until they purchase. And once they purchase, they're no longer a part of that sequence, and then they get onboarded into a new sequence you could build out. Now, that's kind of essentially the goal with email marketing, guys, is that you want your customers to convert. You don't want to just have an email list to have an email list and it's sitting around. Now, the main difference between GetSiteControl and all the other providers is that you're not paying to host your emails. So you're only paying per send. So take advantage of the power of segmentation to send the right emails to the right customers at the right points. Like I mentioned, email marketing is way easier than it's usually made out to be. And I gotta admit that the upfront work that you're gonna do right now is gonna pay you dividends for years to come. So make sure that you add this to your follow-up list right now as you're taking notes. You need to add create an email campaign. Now, another reason that I like what the team at GetSiteControl is doing is because they also directly integrate to the most popular email platforms such as Klaviyo. This means that you could build your custom pop-up forms with GetSiteControl, and all the emails that you capture then go to your segmented list on Klaviyo, so they can work hand in hand. And as you can see, the pop-up form is super robust, so it's definitely worth checking out. Now, as we come to the conclusion of this video, I just want to state that entrepreneurship is not an easy route. There's a reason why 45% of new startups fail within the first 5 years alone. So the biggest tip I have for you right now is to truly take inventory of where you are in life right now. Once you take inventory of the realities of where you are, you can then start to figure out a roadmap to get to where you want to go. And the biggest tip I have for you at this stage is to also have your parents or your significant other, whoever you're living with, understand what your vision is and where you want to go. By getting them on board, it'll make life in this journey just a little bit easier. But it's not just about telling them, it's also about showing it to them, because you have to continuously re-enroll them into that vision. It can't just be a one-time thing you do today, and then in 2 or 3 weeks, you're not doing anything and you're not updating them with anything. You got to keep them constantly updated on what you're working on. When you do that, they'll start to believe, they'll start to see that, hey, you're not just somebody that's saying something, you're actually doing it and actively working towards it. That'll allow you to start building a support corner that's gonna be super critical when you're just getting started. Because without having this type of support at home, it leads to detrimental health problems, it leads to finance issues, it leads to relationship issues. It could literally make your life spiral out of control. So the biggest tip I have, and the one thing I see with every entrepreneur that's successful, even way farther down the line than I am, is that they found some type of balance and they were able to enroll those who are around them. And those that weren't able to get enrolled sometimes just naturally fell out of their life. But I would encourage you to be patient with those family members that have seen you get to where you are today and that have witnessed your journey. Be patient with them. They may not see it at first. My parents didn't see it at all. They kept telling me to go back to school or go get a job. They didn't see what I was building because they didn't come from this, right? My parents were immigrants from Mexico. They had no idea what it took to start a business. And I didn't have any idea what it took to start a business. But by becoming a part of communities of entrepreneurs, we all got to learn from each other. So I encourage that you join our free community app that we linked in the description right down below. In that community, we're gonna be having follow-up live streams, worksheets, live meetups, as well as in-person events happening all over the world. It's been incredible to launch that community. We took a little hiatus, but we're back and we're gonna be doing it bigger than ever. And it's also the reason why I started StreetCrafter.com, because through StreetCrafter, we're able to assist you in starting from wherever you are. So whether you're in your basement, whether you're in a bedroom, or you're still living at home, doesn't matter. There's no reason or excuse as to why you can't get started and start putting your idea out, because all it takes is that first step. And once you take that first step, you can start to make adjustments to your ideas, concepts, and your business. And in a few years, you'll be in a completely different space. But it definitely begins by taking inventory on where you are right now. Reference the Apparel Playbook that we shared earlier in the video, watch it again, and then take a look at what options you have and which one's gonna work best with your lifestyle. And before I leave off here, I wanna thank every single one of you who spent the last 2 hours with us. This was not an easy video for us to put together, and it was something that literally has taken hundreds of hours for us to launch. From setting up the interviews with our guests, to the post-production, to the reviews I had to do, and even the reshoots I had. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a couple scenes where I came back and it was actually a few days spaced apart because I had to make sure that everything else was lined up on the post-production side. There's a lot of things that happen that people don't see when we make this type of video, and this one was in the works for 18 months. So I want to give a huge shout out to all of the guests that came through, every single one of the person that was behind the camera, as well as the editors that were working on this, because this video was massive. 18 months of work, and it almost didn't happen because I knew that I needed to put in at least 3 more weeks of work at the start of this year in order to launch it. So I want to give a huge shout out to GetSiteControl and .store for making this a reality, because without them coming in to sponsor it, this video may not have gone live. So I definitely encourage that you check out their resources. They're incredibly great people, and they really support the mission of building brands that impact the world from the ground up. So if you enjoyed this video, I encourage that you hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notification bells to be alerted of future video drops. And I would sincerely appreciate if you shared this video with somebody that could take full advantage of it and help them also build their brands and businesses from the ground up. Appreciate every single one of you guys watching. I look forward to seeing you guys in our free community and in the videos that I'm gonna link right up here, and I'll see you guys on the next one.